That is fantastic. Ichiro's second speech, as he mentioned in 2 weeks in English, and it was fantastic. Good hugs from all the Mariners, all the favors, and great to see Dan up there.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is August 9th, 2025. We just finished Ichiro's enshrinement speech at T-Mobile Park, and it was absolutely fantastic. Again, he made the joke of having to make a second consecutive speech in 2 weeks in English. He did an excellent job. There's a lot of stuff that I want to bring to you as far as that speech. Again, I don't know if I'm going to be joined by anybody tonight. However, I will give you some stuff in from the ceremony that I just watched, and then I'll take some of the pictures and stuff from the dropping of that number and the plaque and everything else and throw that in the story. As far as the starting lineups for today, let's go over those right now while we're waiting for the game to start. For the Tampa Bay Rays, it's batting order and manager Kevin Cash. Again, 5 games back of the AL wildcard, 11 of the AL East. Tampa Bay Rays are 57-60. Yandy Diaz is going to lead off, play first, bat right. Brandon Lowe in the DH spot. He'll get a day off with second. He'll bat left. Josh Lowe in the cleanup and right field, batting left. Junior Caminero. He is a very good prospect. Again, he's only 22 years of age, but I shouldn't even say prospect. He's an absolute stud. He's going to be in the cleanup, playing third base, bat right. Chandler Simpson is going to move all the way to 5th in the order. He has no power. He's not going to get the ball out of the infield, but he's got absolutely elite speed, so try to keep that going on the base paths. We got Hunter Fiducia in the 6th spot. That'll be the one position for Kevin Cash. It'll probably be a little bit weak. He'll catch bat left. And then Ha-Seong Kim in short, bat right. Tristan Peters in center. We're going to give Jake Mangum the day off. He'll bat left. And then Tristan Gray will be in the 2nd spot left as well. So Ha-Seong Kim's going to have to do some heavy lifting from that 7th spot, because between 6, 8, and 9 for Kevin Cash, it doesn't seem all that dangerous today. Again, their starter is going to be Joe Boyle, the right-hander, the 25-year-old. And for Dan Wilson and the Seattle Mariners, it sounds like this. They are looking for, again, depending on whether they win today, they'd have to win the last 2 out. It would be a 9-1 homestand. If they lose out the last 2 games, it'll still be 7-3. So the homestand is going to be pretty good, but they want to continue to build on that. They're 64-53. They've only lost 1 game since the trade deadline. I think that's 7-1 since. So it's going to be the same lineup as it's been since we've covered them last week. Randy Arozarena in left, bat right. Cal Raleigh will catch in the switch position there in between the bat side at 2. Julio Rodriguez in center field, batting 3rd. Josh Naylor 4th at first base. He's back in the lineup. He was taken out day-to-day from an overswing a couple of days ago, but he's back in the lineup, and he's a threat to steal bases. I know that sounds crazy, but he's been ridiculous since he's been a member of the Mariners. Geno Suarez will still bat 5th. He's going to play third base, bat right. Jorge Polanco, the DH. At 6, Dom Canzone, J.P. Crawford, Cole Young, right field, shortstop, second base, 7, 8, 9. And the starter today for the M's will be Logan Evans, the 24-year-old. Again, when I was joined by Cooper Hopkins last week at the trade deadline when they got Geno, he did mention when he was at T-Mobile Field, he saw Logan Evans do pretty well for the 5 innings. I have yet to see him pitch this year, so it'll be my first look at him in between the cutter, sweeper, sinker, changeup, 4-seam, and curve. So they're showing some more of the banner shots as we are getting underway at T-Mobile Park. Again, they showed some of the camera shots there of the smoke coming out of the bullpen. There was Ichiro Suzuki seated right next to Ken Griffey Jr. and then moving it to relay the number 51. That's going to be alongside Robinson, Griffey, and Edgar Martinez. And is one hell of a sight. Again, last time I was at Comerica Park in Detroit, they retired the number of Jim Leyland. Jim Leyland's one of the best managers of all time, but I think Ichiro, you could talk about best Mariners and this and that, and you have that conversation. You already know that point blank, but we see guys like Shohei Ohtani now, and you think about Ichiro, other than the exception of pitching, Ichiro is one of the greatest Japanese players, let alone one of the greatest players to ever play this game. I'm 38 years old. I'm not sure where Cooper Hopkins is along where I am. I think we're along that same age range. And for Ichiro, if I tell you that he's got the hose in the outfield like Roberto Clemente, that's not a lie as far as what he's got. The elite bat-to-ball skills of someone like Tony Gwynn, a guy that has hit over 372 in 2024, and he didn't come over here into the States, I believe, until he was 27 over the land of the rising sun. So he comes over late from the Japanese leagues, and as soon as he steps on the field, I know 27 makes it hard to make you think you're a rookie, but technically that was his status. Well-established hitter, 10 seasons from 27 to 36 in the age range, had over 200 hits each time, a little over 300 hitter, again 372 and 24 at age 30. There really wasn't anything he couldn't do. So to have his number be retired is, as Ken Griffey Jr. said, it was about damn time. Everybody's been waiting for that. His number 51 is also emblazoned onto the field today, so you're going to see that sitting in the center field side. I'm going to pause for a little bit here before we get into the play-by-play, but I want to give some summation of what we saw, and I'll give you some more of those stats as we go across throughout the game. But I'll stay here with you through the entirety of the play-by-play, step here with you late, and call this, I imagine, in between Tampa and Seattle. They have a chance again to gain another game in the American League East, or West, excuse me, and get very, very close. They're already got headway in that wild card. They could probably pass Houston at some point if they keep this up. What's going on, Ian?
Not much, man. It's the Royals just picked up a 2-0 victory. The Twins still trying to scratch and claw for that third wild card spot.
It's definitely possible. I mean, look, you did better than Tigers did. Tigers lost the series to the Twins and lost 2 of 3. So I'm glad somebody beat them. My goodness.
Well, we got one more. We got a rubber match. Coming up tomorrow. So see who's gonna at 12:05 Central. See who's on the bump. Ryan Berger, who was impressive in his first start against Boston. Very impressive in his first start against Boston.
From what I'm seeing, and I hope that's the case for you, Ian, to continue to move across the AL Central, the only thing you need is for the Guardians to start losing some games. It doesn't look like that's going to happen against the White Sox here, as they have just finished their top of the ninth, so White Sox have the final bats. They're trailing 3-1. Guardians coming off of a sweep of the Mets. Tigers drop another game, so if this holds, it will be down to 5 for the Tigers when it was 16-15 before the All-Star break, and dropping games like crazy in a short span of time. So, God help me.
Yeah, it's well, and I was going to say, right now, Cooper Hopkins' Mariners are in an advantageous position because the San Diego Padres are looking to maintain their position in the wild card race, and they're facing Boston right now, who is just ahead of the Mariners in the AL wild card.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let me look at that score. Right now, it's a 3-2 lead for the Red Sox. Ever since they got rid of Rafi Devers, they have been hot. Again, the Red Sox and the Padres, both really good teams. Padres just a half game essentially off the pace. They got one less game played, both 65, 52, 64, and 52. So Ian's exactly right. Again, you had The Houston Astros lose today to the Yankees, so that gave the Mariners another game in the AL West. That is only one game back. They could drop to a half game if they beat the Rays today. And I guess I'm not saying this, but I'm going to throw it out there. You could make the argument that the Mariners could be peaking too early, but we have about a month and a half of regular season left to go. You need to make up the games now. I think the Mariners are doing exactly what they have to do.
Yeah. What was it? Well, the final game in the series for the Royals against Boston, they won that game, but they won it in very well. I mean, John, the Royals had five hit batters. Now they hit five batters. Five of their batters got hit by Boston pitchers.
5 seems like an awful lot. Maybe 3 too many.
Well, actually, it was technically 6, but one of them was going to count it. But one of them counted as a strikeout because Vinny Pasquantino swung through the third pitch and it hit him on the leg.
I got you. That happens sometimes. You look like a fool when that happens in MLB The Show. So the Mariners now are going to start to take the field again. I know ESPN has a list of delay. They did not mention the Ichiro ceremony on the website. Again, I already know that. That's why we kind of talked about some of that. I planned this being a little bit late. Again, Ichiro made the joke about having to make a second speech in English over the last 2 weeks. He did it very, very good throughout that speech. Again, it'd be interesting. I've never been to T-Mobile Park, but it'd be pretty cool to actually see that plaque and everything else in Seattle. That's going to be there. And then they're going to also retire Randy Johnson next year. So Randy Johnson gave Ichiro that number 51 number. That was the only number he wore in Japan. So you have 2 players essentially retired from that same number. So that'll be cool to see when that plaque is also available next year. So they'll have Ichiro and the big unit. Cutter, sweeper, sinker, changeup, four seam, and curve for Logan Evans. And as far as the percentiles in which he throws all of those, I could say you could take all of those pitches, throw them in a bucket, and any one of those 6 will pop out at you 4 strikes. Now, the one thing for Logan Evans, as Yandy Diaz, who's another elite contact the ball skills, is going to get set to lead off here for Kevin Cash's squad. You can't sit on anything if you're Kevin Cash's squad, but you want to stay away from the down and in, down and away changeup depending on the handedness. That's the one thing I saw from Baseball Savant. And the cutters can either be in on the hands or be painted on the black. So those are the 2 things that I had picked out from the scouting report. And as mentioned, in between 1 through 9 for Dan Wilson and the Seattle Mariners, you have the same order that you've had since the deadline. Josh Naylor is back into the lineup. A little bit of an overextension a few games ago from a big swing, but he's got 10 bags stolen, again, the first baseman, since a member of the deadline crossing over. Again, it was a week and a half that he was acquired before Geno, who was at deadline day. 10 bags already for the Mariners and Naylor. So he doesn't have elite speed, but he knows how to read the pitchers, and he says he's a student of the game film between his parents, watching tendencies and things like that. It really goes to show if you pay attention to what you see and pick up on these pitchers, it works out. So first pitch is a curveball. Will be down, but it's in the zone. And then a splitter way down in the dirt, make it 1-1 against Yandy Diaz. Again, these numbers might be a day old, but 279 average, 20 home runs, 66 RBI. He could hit more. He doesn't want to go after those launch angles that a lot of those guys like Riley Green and the Tigers, when you're could be setting an all-time strikeout record. So he's going to get more bat to ball, but he takes a 91 right in on the hands, make it 1-2. You're going to see a lot of those camera shots. Again, I'm watching this on the MLB app because T-Mobile, you get all the stuff done for free if you get it done early enough in the year. So I'm carrying the Root Sports feed as this one's 1-2. And a changeup will be handcuffed down the first baseline will do it again. He's slugging .466. So again, the 20 home runs, I'll tell you, he's got a little bit of a pop. 37 walks, 69 strikeouts for the 33-year-old already. Going to play first base today. Waiting on the 1-2 and a big swing and a miss on a changeup. So good work there for Logan Evans. And I'll bring up Brandon Lowe. Lowe is normally the second baseman, but he's the DH today. Again, he's only played at 93 games, so he's missed some of this time to injury. And then Josh Lowe in the cleanup at 70 games. They need both of those guys, again, unrelated, but both of those guys to be able to step up and get you some power and pretty much bring those averages up. Because when you look at, no disrespect to Ha-Seong Kim, he's just coming back, 15 games played, but Hunter Fiducia, Tristan Peters, and Tristan Gray, there is not much as far as that bottom end, as this one is going to take Randy Arozarena to the track. And Brandon Lowe is going to tape Logan Evans deep. That's his 22nd home run. So I just talked about that from the second and third as he airmailed that thing just over the fence in the left field and makes it a 1-0 lead early, the second batter into the game. So take a look and see what he put the bat head out in front of. It was an off-speed pitch that he hand grenaded just past Randy Arozarena and shy of the foul pole. Put that right in the corner, right where it needed to be, because otherwise it would have been easily caught. So now leave it up to Josh Lowe, as this is a off-speed pitch down in the dirt, make it 1-0. Again for Josh, just 7 home runs, 27 RBI. They need his health. He does have 11 stolen bases. For Tampa squad, that's what they like to do is run. When you get to Chandler Simpson at 5th, I got some eye-opening steps for him, as it's 233 average for Josh Lowe. And Brandon Lowe just went deep. That's why it's a 1-0 lead for Tampa here at T-Mobile Park. It's another off-speed pitch is 1-2. That was a cutter down in the dirt. It's a lot of close games here for the Seattle Mariners over the last stretch of the 9. Most of them have just been decided by 1 or 2 runs. He had an extra inning game the other day against the White Sox. No problem here for J.P. Crawford. And Josh Naylor will pick this one up off the bounce and step onto the bag. It'll be 2 out and leave it up to Junior Caminero. He was a member of the Home Run Derby this year. And Caminero, 22 years of age, already got 30 tanks and 110 games played. Now, I'm not bringing this up to air any sort of dirty laundry, but I just want to make it known, again, as Caminero falls back a cutter at 89. If it wasn't for, and this is his fault completely, again, I don't want to bring all this up and have a long talk about it, but if Wander Franco wasn't doing what he was doing, that's going to pretty much take him out of baseball forever. He's pretty much blacklisted, will never be spoken of. But if you had him alongside Junior Caminero, the Tampa Bay Rays record easily would be flipped from 60 to 57. As this is a pop-up, Cole Young's going to catch it. But that changed the course of what the Rays had, because they had potentially a franchise player, and now they don't have one, but they still have Junior Caminero. So 1 home run for Brandon Lowe, no other damage. We'll go bottom 1, Rays up 1-0.
Serious infections, blood clots, cancer, serious allergic reactions, GI tears, death, heart attack, and stroke. See who that risk increases in HB cholesterol versus risk factor. Tell your doctor you have these events. Infection, Hep B or C, smoke, or chronic inflammation. Don't take it for allergic or having infection.
And John, I still can't believe the trade deadline that we just had.
It was pretty good. I mean, there was a lot of big hits. For teams that wanted to take swings, for teams that didn't, they're kind of seeing the results that we would expect. But the trade deadline was pretty good. I give a big, more than a golf club, big hand to the guys that were willing, like Jerry DePoto and Settle, to go for it, because I think it also brings in the confidence to all the other players in that locker room. It's got to pump you up.
Yeah. And of course, so we've seen it for drafting and other things in other sports. Do you think if Adrian Preller keeps doing what he's doing, they're gonna make a Preller move?
You would have to think so.
Yeah. If he just keeps trading his number one prospect every year.
Yeah, I don't understand any of that stuff going on over there, and I never will. And it kind of makes you think about, if you want to say hockey terms, of the Buffalo Sabres. There's just certain other teams that just never seem to get better, and they make very curious decisions.
Well, it's not. I mean, but this is different from the Sabres. The Padres were a decent team, and then Preller said, "Oh." And the Preller said, "Oh no, we're just gonna make our bullpen unbeatable."
Then what do they have, Ian? It's Robert Suarez, Jason Adam. They've added Mason Miller, right? And they still have one other one. They got 4 guys in there that are lights out.
Yeah. So Adam Miller, Suarez, I believe. Let's see. I'm trying to think back to when the Royals faced them before Miller. Who was the other guy? Dang! Oh, no, wait, no, that was last year. Tanner Scott's with the Dodgers now.
I was thinking this. I'm thinking the same thing. I got 3 of the 4 names, just like you. I can't think of the 4th, but they can go 6, 7, 8, 9. You know a lot about that as a member of the Royals when they end up winning the World Series. Randy Arozarena draws a walk to lead it off for the Mariners. I want to mention here for Joe Boyle, he already had 4 pitches over 100 miles an hour in that first one against Randy Arozarena. So that has to make me believe that he's not going to go more than 4 or 5 innings, because if he does that, he's probably going to blow his arm out. As now Cal Raleigh will get set to lead it up here after the walk. So Joe Boyle was 6 pitches into his day, and again, as I mentioned, 4 pitches, well over 100. Again, 1-1, 2.30 ERA, 0.88 WHIP, and 27 1/3 innings pitched. So I'm not sure if he's going to be the opener today, but another one, 101, misses outside. He is absolutely bringing it in. Again, when I see that like that, I have to imagine he's the opener today, because if you keep that one going, that's how you hurt yourself.
Yeah. Okay, so the 4th guy, I guess you could say the Padres bullpen, it's a guy named Jeremiah Estrada.
That's who it is. I couldn't
Yeah,
think of
who's got 73 strikeouts on the year as a bullpen arm.
I mean, you saw it with Holland, Herrera, Davis. I mean, that's how you guys ended up winning the World Series anyway. I know you traded for Cueto and won it too, but that elite bullpen is what changed it. This is a very wild pitch at 101, and it's going to put Randy in scoring position already. So runner at second from the walk and a wild pitch, and Colorado's got a 2-1 count.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Holland, how everyone talks about HGH, but Holland got injured at some point during the season. So let me look, but I'm pretty sure he got injured during the season.
Cal Raleigh's going to wait on a 2-2 as he falls 100 straight back on the bottom black. Again, Cal Raleigh, his numbers since this deadline have been down. He's been striking out a little bit more. He was closer to a 260 hitter. He's been down to 248. And his strikeouts went from about 120 since we last covered, not even a week ago, now to 136. He's got a couple more home runs from 41 to 43, and he's going to be a lock for 100 RBI. He's sitting at 93 right now, but the strikeout has been more prone. Again, you can't keep those numbers up forever because he's already surpassing guys like Johnny Bench. Here's a full count. See what Randy Rosarino wants to do. 101 blows him away. So Cal Raleigh's going to go grab some pine, and Joe Boyle continues to throw absolute bombs as it's 1 out now in the bottom of the first. Julio Rodriguez now gets set to dig in. As I mentioned, for the numbers that were a little bit lower for Cal, Julio's starting to percolate. Again, he's at 117 games played today, 252. Hit a couple of bombs since then. He's sitting at 21 now. He's got 22 stolen bases, so he's always been a lock for a 2020 type of guy. You'd like to see him getting 30-30. Fastball way up top, make it 1-hundo, and now a 2-1 count against Julio Rodriguez. So 280 in the last 24 games. That's my percolation as far as the notes. Again, he's in that 3 spot. Provide the protection for Josh Naylor. Does not get the call on an off-speed pitch. Again, I say that despairingly because 93 from 101 doesn't really feel off-speed, but he throws it in the zone, doesn't get the call. Make it 2-1. He's got those aviator glasses going as well. This is center cut. Julio Rodriguez at the wall. It's gone. J-Rod goes deep, and the Mariners have a 2-1 lead. Julio Rodriguez is going to go in there and slap hands with Geno and grab the trident. He took a fastball. He was ready for the heat again. That's all Joe Boyle's really been throwing. I would have to say out of the 16 pitches, 13 of them have been fastballs. So you're ready. You're going to time it. You know what he's going to give you. And Julio Rodriguez did not miss it. Josh Naylor takes 100 mile an hour on the paint for the right side of the black and make it 0-1. So home runs aplenty already as we sit in the bottom of the first, just 2 aside. Julio Rodriguez gives his team the lead with a 2-run shot. That was from the Arozarena walk. And now 93 on the changeup. Check appeal down to third. He did not go. So for Naylor, again, as I mentioned, about 2.5 weeks before the deadline, he's got 21 stolen bases. He's already got 10 with the Mariners. He hasn't been here all that long. Here's 92, and that same spot for 101 to make it strike one. Now it's 1-2. So again, he's trying to find that paint, but the leverage is it's 103 on the fastball, yes. It's 92 to 94 on the changeup, but it's been a 2-pitch pitcher here. So that does give you a lot to be able to sit on, and for hitters that can essentially time the bullet out of a gun. Bull's really going to have to find something on the black or jam to get guys out. 101 was a grand cut. We followed straight back, and amongst the catcher will do it again at 1-2. So Boyle's already had to throw a lot of pitches as he sits at 20. J-Rod's got the first set of damage here for the M's. 92. This is shallow center field. No problem to make the catch for Peters as it's 2 out here for the M's. Geno Suarez is going to bat 5th today, and he's up next here, still playing third base as he usually does. Now, he's the one guy since it reacquired at the deadline that has not hit. He takes a ball, but it's called a strike at 100. on the left side black. But he's hitting, I believe, 087, some bingo numbers since he's been reacquired. He does have the one home run, and this one fouled in the same spot off the changeup, making nothing of two. Now, that will not be talked about as much if the Mariners continue to win games, because you figure somebody like Geno, who's got 37 bombs, will pick it up eventually. I imagine he will. 100, this one towards his fist. That's definitely going to sting the hands up a little high, but he'll stay alive here at 0-2. So Boyle's going to have a tough first, even if it's only 2 runs of damage. It'll be at least 25 pitches already thrown as he requests some new seams on that baseball. Again, Drew Rasmussen was the starter last night who throws that same heavy heat, and Geno goes down again. So Raleigh and Suarez strike out, but Julio Rodriguez 2-run jam makes it 2-1 M's as we go to the second.
So, hey, John,
Yeah.
I'm looking it up. You want to know what makes it more impressive about HDH, especially during the 2015 season?
Go ahead.
Greg Holland. So, fun fact, he pitched in the regular season, but he did not pitch in the postseason because this man was throwing and getting outs with a torn UCL. He forego Tommy John surgery to pitch in the 2015 season.
Man, oh man. That's why you have some of those other things that you speak about to try to help you get through that and all the pain. That's some heavy stuff, but I can't imagine to forego Tommy John then still have to picture that, how much that would have to hurt.
And so pretty much during the postseason, it was still HDH, but it was instead Luke Hochshaver, which I'm sure a lot of MLB fans, they're not familiar with that name, but he was a first-round pick for the Royals, was going to be a starter, but he just didn't work out. They kept him on as a bullpen convert, and he actually is credited with the win of Game 5 of the 2015 World Series.
I've seen a lot of Hochshaver in between the AL Central battles, in between the Tigers and the Royals, and there were certain games where I thought he had it, and there were certain games that he did not. And sometimes that's just the way it works.
Yeah, I got to channel my job. Within my job, I tend to have interactions with a lot of high-profile people, and I got to have a little chat with Mr. Hochshaver when he came by, and he said that there were a lot of days where he, it just felt like it was just a walk around the bases for the other team because he could never find it. But when push came, at the end of the day, he's still a World Series champion.
Yeah.
He was still part of a championship-winning bullpen. And, throughout this, the starting rotation was impeccable. I'll get into it later. I think we're coming back.
So Chandler Simpson's going to ground out the second, no problem in the toss over. He's done. I was going to say for Chandler, 32 stolen bases. He's batting 5th in the order for Kevin Cash. Again, he's the one that grounded out. But he's an absolute beast as far as speed. 24 years of age, but he's not going to hit the ball out of the infield. He's just a contact bat. So we'll see what ends up happening between this 5, 6, and 7 on the part of the order. Center Fiducia will send this one back. He's only hitting 188. And for Hunter's numbers, he only has career 11 games played with the 28-year-old. So between 6, 7, and 8 and 9, sandwiched in between Ha-Seong Kim, I don't think that there's going to be a lot of damage done. They'll want to speak that into existence for Mariners fans, but this just doesn't seem like a lineup that's going to be able to do a whole heck of a lot unless you get Brandon Lowe, who already hit one in the top of the first, and Josh Lowe to kind of spearhead this for this order, as they do not get a swing on a changeup on a 1-2. We're still trying to keep things going. In the Root Sports broadcast booth, you got King Felix, who's up there. As they're waiting on a 1-2, Cal Raleigh will give his sign. Another changeup. It will not be anywhere close. Badushia will be waiting on a 2-2. Again, Ha-Seong Kim will be the next batter. 15 games played, 204, 1 bomb, 3 RBI, 6 walks, 15 strikeouts. He's coming back from a long injury. Normally a 260 hitter. This one is pretty center cut. It'll drive Canzone to the wall. He will make the catch. That was hit very hard. That's probably the extent of laying one in there if you're Logan Evans, but it's 2 up, 2 down here to start the top 2. King Felix is probably one of the better pitchers that I had seen throughout his era. Again, he's a guy that can top out around 98 miles an hour. He's got some deadly pitches, and when he's on, and there was many times that he could be absolutely lights out, unhittable, and give you double-digit strikeouts with ease.
Fun fact, before Domingo Germán against the Oakland Athletics, I believe King Felix had the last perfect game pitched in 2012 before 2023 Domingo Germán.
I think you're absolutely right, and I do remember saying that's a great call by you, and an easy inning for Evans. He gets it done through 25 pitches total in 2, and we'll go to the bottom second. I see the over-under according to Baseball RotoWire. Let me get to that in a second. I believe it was set at 7.5, even though there's going to be a lot of runs scoring today. And if that's the case, it's probably going to be all for the M's. Right now, this is 8, so the line has gone up a little bit. I imagine that that's probably fair. Let me see if there's any other scores that stand out. Blake Snell also is coming back from injury for the Dodgers. See if I can see his line right now. They are winning. The all blue here is winning 2-0 against Toronto. And Snell's got 4 innings pitched, 2 hits, 9 strikeouts. So, again, his second start since coming back from injury. 3 walks that he was left stranded. Dalton Rushing is the catching prospect for the Dodgers. So my guess is either Will Smith is injured or he's getting a break. Let me see if I can find that for the Dodgers really quickly just to make sure. Yeah, so Will Smith is going to get the day off today. Everything is good on that side. So if you're thinking about fantasy, didn't want to scare anybody. I just want to look because I'm usually used to seeing him in the lineup, but he's not today. Let's get back to the bottom of the second. It'll be 6, 7, and 8 for Dan Wilson's squad. Polanco, Canzone, and Crawford. We talked about this before in between the additions of Naylor and Suarez. That'll move JP usually leading off. You got Randy Arozarena there now. JP's at 8th. Dom Canzone still hitting 281. And then you got Cole Young, who has been unbelievable of late. His center cut changeup. Polanco just stares at it for whatever reason. Make it 1-2. 6 of 22 in the current 10-game homestand. This is game number 9. Again, if the Mariners do win out these next 2 games, they will be 9-1 in their homestand. Right now, if they lose out, they would be 7-3. So good homestand for them. But you think about what, as I've mentioned earlier in the broadcast, Tampa is presenting today. This is the game you got to get. As 90 miles an hour on the changeup, he fouled on the first base line. Will do it again at 1-2. Mariners had some close games against the White Sox. Again, one of them a couple days ago went into extra innings. A lot of those, as I mentioned, 1-run, 2-run games. But even if it's an opponent that you think you should beat, if you can win those close games, those are the ones that you get more propensity in the playoffs. Another one left a lot.
Well, I'll tell you this much, John. That is true. Especially true for my Royals, considering all they've played this year are close games.
Yeah. And Ian, you can say you get used to maybe biting your nails, but when it's every game, I just don't think it faces you anymore.
No, it's just what I have to hope is that the offense can score maybe 1 or 2 runs. It's believe me, it's not healthy. You know, we have what looks like our primary bullpen lineup. If our starter can go 6 runs or 5 and a third, and then we put in a filler.
Right.
It's Harvey, Ursek, and Estevez. But I can't take this one run, 2 run stuff, man. You can't shut out your opponent every single game. Just doesn't happen.
No, and it's almost at the point where if you get to it, Ian, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but if you see like a 1-0 game, you could have your pitcher go 6, 7, 8 innings, give up 1 run, you might still lose.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, one thing the Royals are doing is they're not trying to shoehorn any particular lineup.
Okay.
They've realized that Jonathan India has been absolutely crap at the leadoff spots in the All-Star break. Since then, they've had Yastrzemski and Michael Garcia. Yastrzemski is looking to be one of the more underrated gets at the trade deadline right now.
Has he been providing the pop that you needed a little bit, or at least some hits?
So far, let's see, he's had how many games since the trade deadline for teams? Somewhere around 9.
8, 9, yes.
8, 9. So in those amount of games, he already has 2 home runs for us, and he just hits.
Yeah.
He hits, and that's what this team needs. It needs hitters.
Blanco is flied out to Peters in center field, and now it's 2-2 against Dom Canzone as Boyle's trying to make sure that his pitch count doesn't get anywhere close to 50 as we're still 1 out in the bottom of the second. It's sitting at 38. Dom Canzone has been excellent, 7 of 26 in the homestand as well. He's been really good throughout the year, but this one froze him on a changeup, bottom portion of the right box in the black, make it a strikeout for Dom Canzone. And I'll leave it up to J.P. Crawford as the last hope in the bottom of the second. It's a 2-1 lead for the M's. It's a pair of home runs. Brandon Lowe with a solo shot and J-Rod with a 2-run jam in the first. Yeah, it's good to see that some of that stuff is working out for you, Ian, because I look at it for the Tigers, and I mentioned they were all pitchers, and a lot of them have been bargain bin trash dump shopping, which is what it is. The one thing I can say that's positive is Kyle Finnegan has already got 2 saves there for the Tigers, the former Nats closer. He looks to be pretty decent, but they need a lot more than that. As Crawford waits on the 1-1, another perfect pitch, this time on the right corner of the box and a changeup. Again, it's just fastball changeup. That's all it's been. And Crawford have a little conversation back and behind there with the umpire, but really isn't much to say. That was excellently called. And now we'll see if Boyle can finish it off with pitch number 43. Try to keep this second inning quiet for both teams. 94. He swings late on a changeup, and Boyle does the job. Both teams go 1, 2, 3.
So, I don't know if you're familiar with this channel, but there's a baseball guy by the name of Jolly Olive. He does documentaries as well as lists for baseball primarily.
Yeah, I followed him since you told me about it. I watch it here and there.
Yeah, so he posted his newest video, the best rental trades in MLB history 2.0, and one of them, I'm sorry, John, I'm going to give you some PTSD here as a
Sure.
Tigers fan.
Do it.
Marco Scudero to the Giants.
Let me tell you a quick story. So in between one I don't talk to anymore because this is a complete jerk. I'm like, all of you guys are I would consider best friends. And then my buddy Nick and myself, in between the Texas Rangers, the Kansas City Royals, and the Detroit Tigers, what do we all have in common? We've all been decimated by the Giants, and I just don't like the Giants.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, dude, watching the Royals play the Giants, it's the reason why Joe Buck is not really welcome in this city, because all he did was glaze. Madison Bumgarner.
Yeah.
That's all he would do. It was like the Royals weren't even there.
And if they didn't have Madison Bumgarner against the Royals would have won the World Series again.
Absolutely.
If the Tigers didn't get destroyed by Pablo Sandoval and his belt that couldn't even hold his damn pants, we could have won the World Series. And the Texas
Renteria hadn't gone yard against the Rangers,
they were down to the final strike, Ian, how many times?
Oh my God, Nevtaro Feliz, right? That was
yeah. It's like in between the three. I'm glad I get to talk to you because it's just like Nick being a Royals fan. I consider you guys besties, but like, man, I look at it, the Giants. Every time I end up playing like MLB The Show or talk about it, I don't even want to cover the Giants. I don't want to talk about the Giants. And I know that sounds awful to be a journalist and I want to try to get everything across, but I just can't stand them.
Yes, same here. You know, I mean, sure, what they did in 2021 was cool.
Sure.
You know, all the old men doing their best. Hang on, I'm sorry, I have to interrupt this. Lucas Giolito just walked in the tying and go-ahead run for the Padres.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God. If Boston fans weren't kicked off enough.
Well, it's good news for the M's.
And it's good news for us, too. Look, any team that's losing, any team that's ahead of us that loses tonight, I'm happy. As a matter of fact, yep, the Phillies beat the Rangers.
So yeah, the Mariners keep doing well on there in the AL West. Again, you got to pop out to a Rose Arena, ground out previously, and from Cole Young, and Logan Evans doing his job. Again, he's giving up the solo shot to Lowe. Now it's Diaz as we get back to the top of the order for the second time around. But he seems to be in cruise control here as Yandy will see a changeup get spiked in the dirt, make it 1-0. But go ahead with your points.
Oh, I was just saying it was cool seeing the Giants do that with all their old guys. I'm not gonna lie, but it's for the longest time, John, and I'm sure in Detroit sports history, there's been a few of these. The biggest debate for Royals fans was, should Mike Kersely, the third base coach, have sent Alex Gordon to try for the inside the park home run? Looking back at it, I think he would have been thrown out at the plate.
I would have to say the same thing. I wouldn't change that at all. Again, you got Yandy Diaz draws a walk. It'll be a splitter up high. Again, Brandon Lowe was the one that got the run scoring going here in this game, and we'll see what he can do second time around. He's coming off of a solo shot. So again, John Hunter with you alongside Ian Genge. Gracious to have him join me here, be able to save my voice a little bit and chat back and forth on this special night for Ichiro Suzuki as 51 is at T-Mobile Field and retired in the stands. Again, you saw Jay Buhner, Edgar Martinez, Ken Griffey Jr., Ichiro Suzuki, a lot of the Mariners legends. You couldn't see Nelson Cruz today. He wasn't there, but he's another one of those guys that I absolutely have nightmares about as a member of the Texas Rangers, as this one will be handcuffed down the first base line, make it 0-2. So Brandon Lowe 1-for-1 with a home run. That was a solo shot at the top of the first. Again, all the run scoring has been in the first. We're sitting at the top of the third at T-Mobile Park in Seattle. I've not been there, but I have been to Climate Pledge. Hopefully get a chance to be at T-Mobile Park next year, as this will be a curveball. They followed straight back and do it again, still 0-2. So again, as Ian mentioned, a couple of walks for Giolito. Those are costly. In the fifth, Padres have a 4-3 lead, as the M's will be keeping their eyes on that score. That's for sure. This 87. This is killed again, but foul. This time down the right field line. The home run was on the left field line. He was out in front of the curveball. The bat was a little too quick. Otherwise, that would have absolutely been gone. So you got to find a way to put another wrinkle into his at bat here, as it's completely sold out, as you imagine it would be. I see some King Felix jerseys, some Ty France, a little bit of everything sprinkled around, and a lot of hats, as you knew that this was going to be sold out for the ceremony today. Another 90 on a changeup, make it 1-2, as Lowe tries to work his way back into a hitter's count. 42 pitches in his day is Evans. Again, it's unfortunate that Trent Thornton had, on our last call, tore his ACL. That would be another one of those guys that the Mariners could have used in that bullpen that is not going to be, he's done for the year. So it'll be up to Caleb Ferguson, who was one of the new additions of the Pirates, and then Andres Munoz, Matt Brash, those usual suspects.
Oh, my God.
This is right at J.P. Crawford. And it's easy for Evans again. 6 straight retired. We'll go to the bottom third, 2-1 M's.
John, we talked about it, but we've already talked about it in space. But I think it needs to be rehashed and brought up over and over and over again. Ben Cherington not only needs to be fired, but he needs to be forced to think of a new career path, because what he just did to the Pirates should be in violation of the MLB code. I mean, you not only do you trade away multiple controllable assets from your pitching depth, you don't trade the guy. And the one controllable asset you don't trade away is the guy who's going to be gone in a couple of years, that being Mitch Keller. And you hold on to 3 guys whose contracts expire at the end of the season.
You talked about that, and it just makes no sense. I don't know what they're trying to do.
Sorry to interrupt, but one guy you trade away. No, 2 guys. You trade Bailey Falter to us for nothing. Look, no offense to Evan Sisk, but he had 5 innings worth of MLB experience, and then you trade away David Bednar to the Yankees for a package of 2 catching prospects. One of them is a AA 24, and then you admit that you had access to better prospects in their system and didn't take them.
Yeah, why the hell would you ever say that in front of the media?
That's like saying,
You're pretty much announcing the horn that you suck at your job.
yeah, that's like saying I'm going to use a pharmaceutical research company here
Okay.
because that's the field that my mom works, that my parents work in for years. That's like saying, hey, by the way, so we're gonna go with this study right here because we're gonna go with this study right here. Now we did look at other studies that had more promise, that had more data backing it, but we're going with this unknown simply because we have a gut feeling about it.
Yeah, it's not how you do things. You have to do things in operation, as we're talking about the Pittsburgh Pirates here, that makes sense for the long-term future and the short-term future. And if you can't address either one of those things, and you haven't been able to do it for God knows how long now, Ian, I question everyone else at the top that why you continue to allow this to happen. I mean, is PNC Field really getting filled up to the point where they're making money just to watch Skeens maybe once a week, but that's it?
I feel so bad for guys like Tree and Alec.
Mm-hmm.
Just for Alec especially, who just started watching this. You got the most electric pitcher in the game that's not named Shohei Ohtani pitching for your team, and you're just counting down how long. You're just counting down the days you have him until he gets traded to the Dodgers or the Mets,
just
or
like Tarek.
The Yankees.
Just like Tarek for me. Yes. You do realize, again, you got a walk here for Cole Young, and then a single for Randy Arozarena. So you got two on already in the bottom of the third. So Boyle's going to have to get out of this. But when you think about it, as you mentioned for Skeens, again, you're right. You can't wait until he walks. I was going to make this point. Ian, he hasn't given up a run at home in over a month. What more can he do?
Oh my God. Yeah, I just, we've talked about this before. As bad as Neil Huntington was at the end of his tenure with the Chris Archer trade, he built teams for the playoffs. Could you imagine if it wasn't Garrett Cole, but Paul Skeens pitching in those series against the Cardinals and those wild card games against the Giants and the Cubs?
Let me interrupt you 1 second here, Ian. Cal Raleigh, number 44, deep into the night of left field, make it 5-1. A walk, a single, and a 3-run jam, and the M's are in business. Go ahead.
Yeah, Cal Raleigh. Look, listen. Aaron Judge is Aaron Judge. I don't care. Give Cal Raleigh the MVP.
It's really hard to argue against it, and I would have to give him that right now if it ended.
Yeah, so what I was saying. Oh, wait, hold on a second. I'm a little bit ahead of you. I think something's happening.
Oh my goodness! Julio Rodriguez, 2 for 2. He smokes a line drive out of here. It's 6-1.
Yep, good. I was gonna say, call it, John.
Thank you for that. You are a little bit ahead. I was able to. Man, oh man, these boys are swinging the bat and having some fun. That's what happens when you make some moves at the deadline in a matter of significance. You can do things like this. Paging the Tigers. Man, oh man. So now Josh Naylor, can we get back to back to back? This one he goes up toward the hands. I'll follow to the first base line. Yandy Diaz really giving this a look, but this will go into the crowd. So back-to-back pickups of the Trident. Really, Cal, he already had it in his hand. He just hands it right off to Julio. Says, "Here you go. You got two in the inning." That's already four more runs for Seattle. And I don't want to say this and be hyperbolic. Again, I've been using that word over the last couple of weeks because I feel like I have to because this lineup looks so good. But with the additions of Naylor and Suarez, you deepen out there. You go ahead and you pick up Ferguson in from the bullpen. Jerry DiPoto has done an excellent job. You give this lineup length. You know you got some guys like Cal who's going to continue to do some damage. Julio Rodriguez is going to percolate at some point. You got Josh Naylor stealing bases. You got Cole Young breaking out. 1 through 9, this is about as good as it gets. And yes, I know you got the Dodgers, you got the Padres, some of these other teams. I'd put that M's lineup up there with them right now because they are nasty.
Yeah. And you know what? If the Royals don't make it to the wild card, because it's going to be a tight squeeze, John, look, I respect you as a division rival, but I'm going with the Mariners. I have to go with the Mariners. I'm sorry. It would be so good for baseball for the Mariners to win a World Series. You know it would.
I completely agree with you. I'll be honest with you. And again, I would never be disrespectful toward you or the Royals or anyone else in the division because I feel the same way as you do and between both of our teams. But I thought the Tigers overachieved way too much in the first half. They don't look to do anything legitimate. I want to see this team do some. They look really good right now, and I know it's about what happens in another month and a half or so. But we know about the pitching staff. Starters have been elite. Now the lineup has been added to. You still got Munoz in the back end. They really have everything they need. They just got to go out and get the job done. As Geno takes a 4-pitch walk, it's the second 4-pitch walk of the inning after 2 home runs. And Boyle, I think Kevin Cash is going to have to come out there soon unless he just wants him to eat it today. Yeah, I can't look at this realistically, Ian, and say that I'm not angry being a Tigers fan. I understand what they were starting the year, but for them not to do anything after having the best record for the first 3 months of the year, quite frankly, it pisses me off.
Yeah, it's funny, John, because where I was as a Royals fan, when they traded King Genge for Adam Frazier, when they traded him to Pittsburgh, I gotta admit I was a little miffed because I'm like, what are you doing? You're not going to make the wild card this year. You're not going to go anywhere. And then they trade for Randall Grichuk, and I'm like, what are you doing? And then they signed Seth Lugo. They extended him, and I'm like, okay. So Lugo's not leaving next offseason. And then they trade, as much as it hurt, they traded They traded Freddie Fermin to the Padres for a very high price. I don't, casuals will look at that trade and think, you only got 2 pitchers. No. This is two starting caliber pitchers with control.
And I know, and from the Mason Miller trade, I know we didn't see Leonardo DeVries, whatever his name is, the shortstop for the Padres. He's a switch hitter who was 18 years old, and he was the number 3 prospect in all of baseball. They also had to give him up for Mason Miller. Padres took some big swings, and I'm not saying like you did. You got 4 elite guys in the bullpen. You got a good lineup, but they paid a heavy price to do what they wanted to do this year.
Yeah. And then, the Royals, they needed a little more oomph. They just needed something to stabilize that outfield because, look, again, we don't disrespect players over here. But when your best hitter in the outfield is Kyle Isbell, a guy who's mostly known for his defense,
Sure.
there's a problem.
Yes, no, you're absolutely right. I agree with the way that you said that because he's not known for his bat. And the guys have certain strengths. Again, you're right. You're not being disrespectful. That's what he is. And when you have that, that's why you had to go ahead and make the move for Mike Yastrzemski. Somebody's got to bring some thump and drive in some RBI.
Yeah. And yeah, there was gonna be a bit of a price to pay for a guy like Yastrzemski. They gave up their number 20 prospect, a guy who's likely going to be a starter for them if it works out. If it works out for the Giants, a guy named Junior Marte.
Right.
But you know what? That's what the Reds. They got that trade in minutes before. No,
Buzzer beater.
Seconds before the deadline ended, and they paid a price for it. So far, it's looking great.
Yeah, I don't want to say always, but I go 90% of the time. If you're going to try to do something in the deadline in any sport and you feel like you're in position to go for it, either go for it or don't. Don't try to do some half measure. That's how I look at it. I will say this, and I mean this wholeheartedly. I feel like what the Tigers did this year in the deadline will go down as one of the worst decisions in history of Detroit sports, and that's including our head coach Marty Mortonwig taking the wind and things like. I'm serious. The Tigers really fumbled the bag, so go for it or don't.
Before we talked about this before they extended Lugo, before they did all that. I was telling you, go all in and talk to the Royals to get Lugo.
Yeah, you did.
And some of their bullpen arms.
Yeah, and I agree. Even if you're Scott Harris and the rest of the staff and alongside AJ, and you say, "Oh, it's too high of a price to pay within division," I don't give an F. You go out and you get guys that rewarded you, especially for the team that rewarded you through the first half of the season. Because you know what happens when you don't make moves like that? I think you demoralize your clubhouse. It's the exact opposite of what the Mariners did. That energized their clubhouse. Hey, you just showed us you believe in us. Now let's go out and win something. If you're the Tigers, you just say, "Oh, you didn't even help us at all. You didn't add anything." Man, I don't know.
You want a great example. I'm sorry, we're back in the X, but you want a great example? The Cincinnati Reds trading for Brian Hayes. Now,
Sure.
They got him at a bit of a discount because Hayes has not been what he was. But they traded with the Pirates in division.
You're right. Thank you. You're right,
And
man.
now, look at that. The Mets are free falling. The Reds look to be somewhat consistent in their winning ways, and they got a real shot at getting into the wild card.
You know what? You talk about the Mariners in the American League. I'd love to see the Mets in the National League. I love watching Ellie De La Cruz. Let's have some fun. Let's get some of these teams in here that haven't normally been in there if our teams don't get in. And I know I got action to call here as another ground out was given in alongside for Josh Lowe. Now it's Junior Caminero. He's another one of those guys we watched for years for the race. Hopefully they hold on to him. But when you think about it, I don't want to lose my train of thought here, but for some of these teams we don't normally see, but I wanted to mention this for the Tigers as well. I don't think the odds have changed over the last week. If we want to make some money, Ian, I think we might need to go in with this, maybe an Alec as well, because I don't want to leave him out of it. Right now, the Guardians are plus 2,500 to win the division. Well, now the lead's down to 5. Might as well put some money on Cleveland, because guess who plays 6 of the last 12 times of the year? Detroit and Cleveland. Detroit could have their lead gone by the start of September.
Yeah, the division's out of the picture for the Royals. It is strictly wild card for us right now. And you know what? If the Yankees want to keep falling over themselves, I will gladly. God, that would be so funny. Please, it's like that one. It's like that one picture. Please let this be real. It would be so effing funny.
Now, we just saw something in this game that I don't think I've ever seen before. Junior Caminero's bat shattered toward the shortstop part of the field, and it fell into the ground like a lawn dart. Thankfully, nobody was spiked from it as it goes to 3-2 count, but he pretty much planted it like a flag. Get a good camera shot there of Ichiro and his wife to get a chance to look on again. He's part of the day-to-day operations as far as the players are getting ready. Good swing and a miss off a curveball. Logan Evans, he made Junior Caminero spin like a top, and he got 2 outs away here in. Let me make sure I got this together in the 4th. And I'll leave it up to Chandler Simpson. Again, as everyone's going to get wined and dined here, as Ichiro's going to get plenty of shots as he should. Again, for Chandler, he's not going to really put this ball out of the infield. But you want to make sure if you're J.P. Crawford or Cole Young, get to it quickly, make a nice, easy, accurate throw over there to Josh Naylor. Otherwise, Chandler's going to pretty much beat out an infield single. It's 287. And again, no home runs, 16 RBI. But he is sitting, and make sure I pull back up into my notes here, at 32 stolen bases in 68 games. So this is game 68 today for him. That is elite stuff. You could probably see if he gets everything going in a full season, as this is a cue shot, but this goes past the diving Cole Young. He's going to be at first and a threat to steal for second. But you could absolutely see Simpson get 50 bags in a completely healthy season, maybe even 60, because he's got that kind of speed.
Are we talking a Ricky Henderson type?
You know what? I mean, no power, Ian, but as far as speed, yes. I mean, Ellie De La Cruz has what, 60, 65 usually? I think I could say that Simpson could probably get close to it. He's one of the faster guys in the league for sure. Now, Fiducia doesn't have to do too much, but if you're Logan Evans here and Naylor, you want to keep a quick eye. Again, it's a short, tenuous lead, and this was a little bit of a pitch out. Make it 2-0. It was a knuckle curve on a pitch out, but we'll see what happens here. You have to imagine he's going to go because Fiducia, again, only career 11 games played, 25 at-bats. So there really isn't a lot to be said. It's hitting 176 in the season so far, but it's not enough of a sample size. But you don't want to also get too far away from count leverage. It's 2-0. Cal, pitch out. He's out. Cal Raleigh gives him the hose. They knew he was going to go. They pitched out for Cal Raleigh. The big dumper does it all, and he's eliminated from first base.
Okay, here's where I'm a little confused. Because if you're seeing them pitch out to a left-handed catcher, why would you still steal when it is very likely they're going to walk him?
It was a 3-0 count, Ian. It makes no sense. I agree.
Yeah, there was, let's see here. So when you look at the teams that are currently in the playoff picture, that including your Tigers, you got the Astros and the Blue Jays, and now the Blue Jays. I mean, John, I think the only explanation I have for the Blue Jays is the phrase "talent finds a way." because I really can't pinpoint one particular thing that changed for them that resulted in this meteoric rise. Because their rise happened before the deadline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. What's your take? What do you think changed?
I don't see any extravagant numbers for Vlad Jr. Bo Bichette's doing his normal thing. I know Alejandro Kirk is good behind the plate. I'm going to have to look at their numbers here very quickly to kind of tell you that. I just want to see if anything catches out in front of my eye. So George Springer's got 18. Addison Barger, who they're just able to call up again, so that'd be one. The 25-year-old has 17 bombs, 268. So didn't have him last year. And really, that's all I see because I'll be completely honest with you. I could say Ernie Clement as well, 287. That's good for him. But Anthony Santander, wasn't he supposed to be one of the big pickups? He's on the 60-day IL. He's hit 179 this year. He did absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the outfield targets that Royals fans were really pushing for J.J. Piccolo to sign. That and Jurickson Profar.
Oh, that would have been an absolute disaster.
Good Lord. Although, but you know what? It wasn't much better considering we started the year with freaking. We should really started the year with Hunter Renfroe in 2025.
You mentioned that quite a bit, and you hit the nail. You hit the bullseye on that, Ian, when you ended up bringing that up, because you're absolutely right. I'm going to see if I find anything else in the bullpen that stands out, because I know Jeff Hoffman was their big piece. His ERA is at 4.50. It's not Max Scherzer. It's not Chris Bassett. So, yeah, there really isn't anything that I can pick up on numbers-wise that makes a whole hell of a lot of sense for the Jays.
So it's really just a collective effort.
A collective effort, and I would have to guess from what we talked about previously, a little bit of a drop-off here for the Yankees.
Yeah, I mean, wow.
Because the Red Sox have been better since they got rid of Devers. I mean, Red Sox have played some good baseball for the most part. I know he had those walks from Giolito, as we talked about today, as J.P. Crawford waits on a full count pitch now. Boyle's still out there. He's had a rough outing. He's given up 6 runs, given up 3 tanks. And he has 2 pitches that he throws. So when you're a 2-pitch pitcher, if you're not Christopher Sanchez, the Philadelphia Phillies, probably isn't going to work out for it. Another walk. That's the 3rd one of the day. J.P. Crawford gets a free pass to first. And today I saw Charlie Morton, the 41-year-old, get absolutely rocked, giving up hanging curveballs over and over, and I wanted to get the toaster in the bathtub. So I don't know how much more I can watch of that stupid team, but that's what it is.
Ouch.
Cole Young will now get set to dig in. Thankfully, I didn't record that on the recorder, but it's on the space. 0-1 as it sits for J.P. Crawford at first, but I got to say it as it is. Don't even get me started 2 years from now on the Red Wings. I already said I'd go nuclear. So if that doesn't, and I promise you I will. Between you, Cooper, Alec, it's going to be absolute flames. Go ahead.
I have to ask, if the Lions somehow win a Super Bowl, will you be a little more? Will you be a little less?
I'm going to give you my honest. I'm always honest. I'm going to give you my honest answer that I can, Ian. The Lions have been so miserable my entire life. I've seen 0-16, 1-15, 2-14 that I never was a football fan. They made me not like the NFL, so I don't care about the Lions that much. I'll be happy for the others, but really as J.P. Crawford gets a stolen base, really my mindset is on the Tigers, the Red Wings, and the Pistons. Is that fair to you? But I mean, that's just how it is for me.
Yeah, that's fair. It's just, I'm a guy. All right. So being in Kansas City, it's made Casey everything. But I was actually in the same boat with the Royals. I mean, they were so bad they were never talked about. And then 2014 and 15 happened, and I got hooked. And
Right.
I watched at the right time, even though I don't remember most of it because it's been pain up until last year.
Right.
But no, I completely understand that. Although, look, I'm going to be real right now.
Sure.
Why, while maybe not doing all he can, he got to your goaltenders. He got some depth for the lineup. This is on the players now and the coaching.
I do not disagree with you at all on that statement. Because you look at it in March and you go, what the hell's happening with this team? You lose 10 or 12 again every year they go to March. Full count pitch here for Cole Young. He takes a hundo and follows it straight back. Boy, oh boy, has this kid been so impressive. And the M's are going to have him for a long time. You look back into his age group range, 22-year-old rookie. Again, for Ben Williamson, third baseman, 24, he's going to get some more time, but not right now because they traded for Geno Suarez. As you wait on the full count, that's another walk, back-to-back walks. And Joe Boyle, you got to be waving the white flag, you think, here at this point, as the bullpen now finally starting to get warm. It's Mason Montgomery, but it's 2 walks to start the bottom 4, and it's already 6-1. No, I agree with you. It's on the players, and I know we can talk about, as I mentioned, with Chris Ilitch and being cheap, and I get all that, but you gotta find a way to make something work at some point. I mean, the Pistons are making it work. If the Pistons win a title before the Red Wings do on that side, I mean, I'll be ecstatic. I'm totally a Pistons fan, but I mean, come on, the Pistons were horrible. They had Josh Smith, Charlie Wayman, and Ben Gordon.
Not to mention, you paid Monty Williams how much money for basically 1 year of coaching?
You paid Monty Williams almost triple digits to coach. Now he's sitting on his couch eating flaming hot Cheetos.
Still getting paid.
He's getting paid for the next 4 years. He doesn't have to do a darn thing. Randy Arozarena is waiting on a 2-1. Again, that was a center cut changeup. And it's a couple walks in the inning here. Randy Arozarena, I'm not going to be shy enough to say this. I think the Mariners can get it to a 10 spot in this game. Joe Boyle is really going to figure it out. Because this is a wild cut for Arozarena. He wanted a fastball. He got a changeup up toward his dome. And now it's 2-2. And we'll see what we get here. He wanted to go for the downs. That's just what I was calling there. Bulls at pitch number 87. I don't even know if he's going to get past anything more than the 4th, as there's still no outs. 100, he goes down and gets it, but this is a pop-up toward Yandy Diaz. No problem, as they finally get the first out of the bottom of the 4th.
Quick question, John.
Sure.
I think Colorado coming up. They're pulling him.
Are they? Yeah, they're not even giving a chance for Joe Boyle to go up against Big Dumper again, because the last time it was him and J-Rod, and they both took him deep. So Mason Montgomery's coming in. We'll go to break.
Yeah. So have you seen the movie Air? The story behind Nike signing Michael Jordan?
No, I didn't. I heard about it, but I didn't watch it.
Okay. So some small spoilers. To initiate the signing, Sonny Vaccaro, who was the genius behind signing Michael, just going all in on Michael. He's not able to get a meeting with the family through Michael's agent, David Falk, who, if you look up David Falk's resume, he was one of the most notorious agents in basketball, in any sport. You know how people talk about Scott Boras in the baseball world?
Mm-hmm.
That was he is the David Falk, although I think he's more level-headed and well-mannered. David Falk didn't really leave much to the imagination. But there is a scene where after Sonny goes against David Falk's wishes, he goes to meet with the Jordans in person. And in the scene, the first thing out of David Falk's mouth is, "You fat fuck! You show him at the house!" Let me go ahead and ask you something here. Are all people from Portland this stupid? Are you trying to ruin your fucking career? You show him in the house! And just lays into him in the most out-of-pocket crash-out tirade you've ever heard.
I'll have to check that out. That sounds very interesting.
And Sonny Vaccaro, and I can only imagine this, as you in your relationship with the Red Wings and the Tigers, if you fail to do this, I will make sure that no one from this agency ever signs with Nike, and I will dance and piss on your grave. And then he says, "Well, or what if we do make this happen?" Or in the Red Wings and Detroit's case, what if we do win a championship? What if we do win a championship? Dave Falk and you and I will be best friends for the foreseeable future.
It's the way it works. I think that's a very apropos movie quote into something that's in reality, because that's the way it is. Cal Raleigh swings and misses as Montgomery has to come out of the bullpen to bail out Joe Boyle. Again, his final line won't be done until this final out here, but right now it's 3 1/3, 4 hits, 6 earned runs, 5 walks, 5 strikeouts, and 6 of those earned runs, 3 of those are tanks. So Julio Rodriguez went back-to-back with Cal Raleigh a couple innings ago. So now 2 home runs and 3 RBI in this game. So I should make sure I put that again in my notes, and I will. So J-Rod has had one of his better games for sure, as he does not swing. It's 2-0 on a knuckle curve. So back-to-back in that third inning, as we talked about, both to left field and left center. Just got it over the wall to Julio Rodriguez. His more was a line drive, about 350 feet. As he waits on a 2-0, 99, just a little late, falls it straight back in amongst the screen, make it 2-1. So I wouldn't say, and this is my own scouting report, that Joe Boyle is a bad pitcher by any stretch of the imagination, but that 85 whip that he had is going to take a big hit. I mean, it's just when you're a 2-pitch pitcher, it makes life really difficult if you don't locate. And he did center cut some of those fastballs. Yes, they could be at 101 and 102, but you're in the big leagues here. If you throw those there, they get hit very hard. I don't really think that's any surprise, and that's why the score line sits at 6-1 with the Mariners still threatening after a couple of walks. Got a Rosarena and Crawford, first and second. And Julio just stays alive. That they get a piece of the home plate umpire, but it makes it 2-2. So pitch number 10 out of the bullpen here for Mason. We'll see how much he goes in relief of Boyle. I would have to imagine with the scoreline to where he is, if he can try to get a couple more innings out of here, that would be the least of what he could do. There's another knuckle curve, this one in toward the hands at a 90. We'll keep it going here at 2-2. So I think his swing, from what I've seen, especially from last week for Julio, has been a little bit more on time. Yeah, the fastball combination there between the knuckle curve on the hands is a little bit different to deal with, but he's been on time and his swings have looked good. out of 99 goes up and out of the zone. So he finally punches out after hitting a couple of tanks. So a couple walks, but that's it, and that's all. Still 6-1 after 4. Put it to you like this, Ian. I know you talked about some of the hot air and some of the things that I'm probably going to be featuring if it doesn't work out for the Wings. I know Patrick's got his own show that he uses every day as far as for the hour and the happy hour stuff that he does. I'm not a radio jockey. I'm not saying he is one, but I'm not full of hot take theater. I like covering games and kind of giving you the facts and bringing in what I see and try to give you a little bit of a retrospective at times. But there will be times where I have to get a little bit heated, and that will be one of those because I try to save it for when it really matters.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's perfectly justified because the Red Wings have been in a when would you say the official rebuild began? Because there was a period where it was just cleaning out the closet, so to speak.
Go ahead. Give me 1 second. I just got to look up the year. I can't pull up the hockey notes in front of me because I think it might take too long, but I can pull up the year.
Yeah, because I think, would you say 2020 or 2021 was the official start when all the bad contracts dried up? So the Red Wings have essentially been in an official 4-year rebuild since then, and they've yet to make the playoffs.
So I might be off by a year here. I'm going to get back into this play-by-play in a second. I might be off by a year here, but 2016 for Steve when he came here, so the first 3 years don't count. So 2019 is when the functional part of the franchise ended up happening about as this one goes fall for Fiducia. So 2019. And if you extrapolate that into now, that is year 7 entering. So it's 4 years now for Eisman where he's been able to build it up and make things matter. So this is his functional year 4 out of 7 years. I think that's where I told you as I have my expectations that this is where you really start pointing figures and figuring things out because you're right. The first 3 years in from that 2016, that was a cleanup. You couldn't do anything in the first 3 years. Anyone that was trying to criticize what he could do in those first 3 years is absolutely criminal because it was like the Ottawa Senators leaving their draft board at home. You can't do anything with that.
Yeah, I mean, it was him waiting until the telling you this is too harsh, but the finals, the sins of Ken Holland.
Yes.
Trying to be basically being repented for.
Right, because Ken, whether it was Mike, you want to have the 25-year streak of making the playoffs. Correct, that's fine. And Mike Ilitch want to hold on to that while he was still here. I get it. But you still had players like Henrik Zetterberg and Pavel Datsyuk that you held on to way too long for that you really could have got something for. These were dynasty-level type players that you won a cup with in 2008. And Fiducia, uppercut swing. Is it going to stay fair? And that was very, very close. And it's a long strike.
Yeah, and then let's also not forget to mention the very, not misguided, but the unhinged loyalty to Jimmy Howard.
Oh my God. Yeah. But he's supposed to be the savior and one of the best goalies in the world. No, he was what he was. He's a decent goalie. Right. Old, yes.
You know what he was? was, to a better extent, he was Cam Ward.
Sure.
He and Cam Ward were the same guy. Jimmy Howard probably a little bit better, because I think didn't he get 2 cups?
Jimmy Howard, he wasn't part of the 08 team that was able to get it, so Cam Ward definitely better than him. That's for sure. Cam Ward got a cup. Because the last one in 2008 was Chris Osgood. Chris Osgood's got 3 for Detroit, and he's not in the Hall of Fame, and that still kind of aggravates me because I think that the Red Wings team, for what they were, and you can say you got Yzerman, Fedorov, Shanahan, I get all that. But dude's got 3 cups, and he was a big part of it. If he didn't come back to help us in 2008, we wouldn't have beat the Penguins.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Jimmy Howard, no, he couldn't hold the candle to even Chris or any of that stuff. And Cam Ward, at least he got one for Carolina of all franchises. He deserves whatever he gets. No disrespect to Alec. But Carolina doesn't win a whole lot.
You know what, though? I'm exceptionally curious to see what they are like. Because, again, for all of our talk about Rod Brindamore, I completely forgot that they didn't have a guy that put the fear in the other team.
No.
And they just got into Delkovich. Or wait, was it? No, sorry, not
yeah,
Delkovich.
Nick Ehlers.
Nikolai Ehlers, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You got Nick Ehlers. You extended Stankoven. You extended Blake. You extended a lot of these guys that are signed 7-8 years from now. So if you have a jersey, is this one? I believe is going to go foul again here for Peters. That was already another shot that could have been this time on the first baseline, but Evans starting to get hit a little bit. But these are foul. But yeah, no, they extended a lot of their guys that are signed for 7-8 years. So if you happen to be a Hurricanes fan and you have those jerseys of the young players, you get to hold on to them for a while.
Absolutely. All right, let's see here.
That's a painted pitch. You know, Peters is going to go sit down and grab some pie and deliver it up to Tristan Gray in the bottom of the order, as that was an absolute perfect pitch. I want to make sure I have this correct in my notes. You got 2 guys named Tristan, and I had that both, so I didn't get that wrong. Tristan Peters and Tristan Gray. Now Gray will follow this one down the first base line and make it 0-1. So again, just a single at first. That's all there is. Logan Evans has looked really good. Again, it must be nice, and I don't want to say this misleadingly because I've seen the Tigers with Verlander, Scherzer, Price, back-to-back Cy Young winners, and they couldn't even beat Baltimore. But then you got Anibal Sanchez and Doug Fister played with the Mariners as well as Evans, able to get the job done again. But this pitching staff is very, very good. It's my first look at Logan Evans. He's only given up 2 hits through 5. We'll go bottom 5, still 6-1 M's. Make sure I turn this TV down, otherwise I get blacklisted from YouTube as far as music copyright. Let's see what our scores are. Padres still have the 4-3 lead, courtesy of those walks that Ian mentioned. It is bottom 8. Padres at Petco. They're batting. The Jays are getting spanked by the Dodgers. It's a 9-run, 10-hit attack. It's 9-0.
You know, I just realized something, John.
Go ahead.
So, every year until for almost every year, that man Tree has had a tradition of making making a video on the Mets called LOL Mets, LOL Mets. And I thought this year the Mets were going to be saved, but if they fall out of the wild card after starting the way they have, it will be laugh out loud Mets.
Right now, the Mets are 63-54. They've lost 6 straight and are 1-9 in their last 10. I didn't realize they must have looked away for a week, and that's all it takes, because they've been back and forth with the Phillies all year, but they are on the struggle bus right now.
And meanwhile, in the last 10, the Reds are 5-5.
Right.
So they are right behind them. And good Lord, for as much as they've fallen off, even the Giants aren't totally out of the wild card race now.
You're absolutely right, because I'm looking at this right now, Ian. We were just talking about this coming back in from the break as the M's got 4, 5, and 6 up here, but the Mets 1-9 in their last 10. Their wild card lead has gone down to 2.5, and that's just because the Reds, as Ian mentioned, played 500 baseball. They're 61-57, and now the Giants are just 4 games back at 59-58. Cardinals 4.5 at 59-59, playing 500 baseball. We'll see. I mean, there might be a couple teams below that you could say that are out for sure, but you're absolutely right. If the Mets do blow that, considering you got Juan Soto and Francisco Lindor and a lot of other guys that they already have, I mean, there's no excuse for them to not make the playoffs every year for the foreseeable. As Josh Naylor get the set to check back in on a 1-2. He's 0 for 2 today. 99. This was toward his hands. Still able to drop to left field. He got that ball past Simpson, who's got elite speed, and he's going to cruise in with a double. It was a shot that kept hooking down the left field line. He had to bounce it off the wall, and Josh Naylor's got his first hit of the game. He gets a double to lead off the 5th. I mean, this ball is up toward the catcher's eyelids. I mean, this is like 6 feet up high, and Simpson can cover a ton of ground. He just missed it off the top lip of his glove. That was just a hooking shot that he could never find a way to get a piece of. And now Eugenio Suarez tried to get another RBI to his total as he swings and misses on a 98-mile-an-hour fastball.
Yeah, you know, it's one of those things, John. When players hit it to the opposite field, you don't know what's going to happen. You can predict what could happen when they hit it to their pull side, but very often the ball does funky things when it's hit to the opposite field, because normally it's hit off towards the end of the bat. And I'm sure you know this, the further it's hit towards the end of the bat, the more movement it's got.
Yeah, that was a cue shot, to say the least, that just kept traveling toward the bottom left away from Simpson's glove. You're absolutely right. That's what I saw. Here's a right to the shortstop, throw over to first base for Diaz, and Naylor going to have to stay put, and they'll bring up the former Minnesota Twin, Jorge Polanco. Now, he's been better of late. Again, his first year with Seattle wasn't all that great. Again, you're never going to get the 7, 8+ WAR player that he was in Minnesota, but good switch bat nonetheless. And Naylor's got nobody at third. It's his 11th stolen base already for the Mariners. He's played about 20 games. I don't even know what to say, honestly, because I think a first baseman, I don't think of steals. And Naylor's not the most fleet of foot, but he reads exceptionally well. And the Mariners do such an excellent job of taking that 90 feet. Because I think about it from my own team, the Tigers are dead last in stolen bases. I believe they have 31, because Baez got one today and the loss to the Angels. But Mariners just continue to get bases every game. Doesn't matter who it is. It's got to be more of a mindset. Go ahead.
By the way, I was gonna ask you, has Baez regressed to me?
He's gone back to swinging at sliders that are 8 feet off the plate.
Right.
Yeah, the pumpkin and everything else, the time has passed. That whole team has done something that is just not representative of what they are. I mean, yes, they played above their heads. I'm not going to argue that. But I don't. Ooh, was this one almost for the face of Polanco? And they're going to say that he offered. He was almost an emergency hack, but that's going to put him down. I was going to say for Riley Greene, and he's got a chance to set the major league record for strikeouts in a single season.
I didn't even realize his strikeout rate was that bad. He's always seemed like a very dependable hitter.
Yeah, he's not been good in the second half, and throughout July into August, he's hitting. I don't want to ballpark this too much, but about 175, 180.
Oh,
Yeah, well, when you're doing that, you're just not helping anybody because he's in the middle of the order. AJ moved him down to 6 with his recent struggles, and they've been platooning Kerry Carpenter, correct? Because they're both lefties, but Kerry's even hitting 220 against lefties. You might make the argument that Riley Greene might have to sit a couple games to play Kerry a little bit more because he's the one power guy that I always have a feeling that can do something. And it takes me back to, yes, he didn't win last year against the Guardians, but when Kerry Carpenter hit that shot against Emmanuel Clase, I pretty much lost my voice. So that was a lot of fun. Canzone flies out to Simpson, and a double, stolen base, no more. It's still 6-1 after 5.
I mentioned this before, but so far when things haven't been working, at least recently, the Royals have tried to fix things up. I mean, he's not your typical leadoff hitter, but against righties, and actually, mostly against righties. I mean, they've had Mike Yastrzemski lead off. I mean, they had him lead off against Joe Ryan.
That's not an easy assignment.
No, and of course, his first at bat, he puts up one of only 3 runs the Royals scored that night.
Well, I will give credit, and for Coach Q and all that, to give them credit to try to change some things up at least. I'm not gonna talk anything bad about AJ because again, I do say at worst always as a top 3 manager in baseball, you can only work with what you're given. But when you got everybody slumping at the same time, how the hell do you get out of that? You can't. Unless you have a situation like the other day where Matt Vierling comes up and hits a 3-run tank and gets his first of the year. He's been largely hurt. Parker Meadows last year, who was a big piece of why the Tigers made the turnaround. I know the Twins collapsed, but Parker Meadows, he hits the grand slam off of Robert Suarez. That's not there. Javi Baez regresses. Riley Greene striking out. There's no answers. And when you didn't also add to those answers in the deadline, you get to where you are. And I happen to agree with a lot of people that if you get to the start of September, and if the money is still plus 2,500 for the Guardians to win the division, now it's down to 5. Tigers had about a 10-game lead after this week. It's in Saturday now, and it's down to 5. So they're losing ground like crazy. That's what happens when the Mets get swept by the Guardians and Tigers can't. They lose 2-3 to the Twins.
I was surprised. Look, I get the pitching was a big concern for the Tigers, but I mean, you had the Royals only had to give up their number 20 ranked prospect for Mike Yastrzemski as a rental.
And I know I'm going to jump into this because I want to have this conversation with you as Evans walks with Diaz. But it's a 6-1 game. I want to have this conversation while you're in here because I'm enjoying it. But let me think about it this way because you said they didn't have to give up much. You talked about Ke'Bryan Hayes. You made a great point. That was within the division. I present to you, and I know it's under Al Avila, but Spencer Torkelson, first pick. What was it 3-4 years ago? Casey Mize, pick number 3. Riley Green in the top 10. I think it was pick number 7, 8. 3 guys who have had moments. I'll be fair and say they've had moments, but not anywhere close to all-star. Yes, Riley Green's been one, but not consistent. Mize was added in because the people who left, so I don't count that. But they're not consistent all-stars. And Torkelson strikes out a ton. Guys that had probably 240, 250 at best. Sometimes no power, a lot of strikeouts. My point being, you got a pick number 1, pick number 3, pick number 7. Not everyone's going to be Mike Trout and Bryce Harper, but you got to hit on some of these just because they're everyday players. I don't care. They're still jobbers at this point. And now Scott Harris is going on to some of these other guys, whether it's Max Clark or whoever pans out, and they're acting like these guys are the next coming of Jesus. We already saw the other 3 are not. So forgive me for not believing in these prospects of being the next Mike Trout because I'm not seeing it.
Now, to be fair to Spencer Torkelson, if you look at the draft class that he came out of,
was it weak?
I mean, listen to these names right now.
Okay.
So Torkelson at the top, you had Heston Kjerstad for the Baltimore Orioles. He has been MIA what feels like all season.
Yeah.
Max Meyer for the Marlins, I think he just got to the show recently, and I don't know how well he's been doing. The Royals had the number 4 pick, and they took Asa Lacy. John, let me just save you the analysis.
Okay.
He is, if you want to talk about a bust, dear God, I honestly don't know if he made it past A-ball.
So let me take your point in because I'm glad we got this point counterpoint. It's probably too early for me to talk about anything in the draft class then between Green, Torkelson, and Mize.
Well, so here's the other. So Austin Martin for the Blue Jays, he's playing for Minnesota. He's a starting shortstop. Emerson Hancock for the Mariners, truth be told, yeah, he's a starter, but he was the number 6 overall pick. But I don't know how integral he is to their starting rotation.
No, he's been hammered a lot of times, I see.
Yeah, Nick Gonzalez for the Pirates, second baseman. Sure, he starts once in a while, but can you really say he lives up to that number 7 moniker? I don't.
Your point's very well taken. So again, I will give them a pass at least for a few more seasons. I should be fair.
If we're talking about the first round, I think, quite honestly, the best guys, the best players who have come out of this class in the top have been you can only point at 3 guys, that being Jordan Westburg, Garrett Crochet, and Pete Crow Armstrong, and one of those guys being PCA found his footing with a completely different team than the team that drafted him.
Yeah. That's well said, Ian. I like that.
Yeah. Now let's see. You said Mize and Green.
Yeah.
What was Mize drafted before or after Torque?
Before Torque. I think it was the year before.
Okay, let me go ahead and look at that. Go ahead and call the game, and I'll tell you.
So Logan Evans, after giving up a single and moving Yandy Diaz to third, his day will be done. It's one out in the top six. We'll step aside here. Caleb Ferguson going to come in. He's going to do battle against Junior Caminero. Yeah, I don't want to steer you wrong, Ian. I think in between Green, Torkelson, and Mize, Torkelson was probably the latest pick, I believe. And then I think then it was Mize the year before, and then it was Green the year before. Somewhere around there. They're all sandwiched in very close.
Let me look here.
I'll tell you right now.
Actually, Green was drafted in 2019, so he was drafted before Torque.
So is it Green, Mize, and then Torque? Yeah, 2019 for Green.
2018 for Mize. So
Okay.
he was the first out of that trio.
Mize, Green, Torque. Okay, I got it.
Yeah. So after Mize, I mean, Jesus, dude, all of the players drafted after Mize, except for Alec Boehm, they're all with different teams.
Oh boy. So are all these? I do want to give it a couple more years because I think your point was well taken in the previous.
Yeah.
But hopefully, not all of these draft classes are bombs.
Yeah. Okay. So after Mize, let me go down the list here. Actually, where are we at in the action right now?
No, we're good. I'll cut in if I need to.
Okay. Cut in if you need to. So after Mize, you had Joey Bart, Alec Boehm, Nick Madrigal to the White Sox, Jonathan India to the Reds. He's with the Royals now. Jared Kelnick to the Mets at number 6. Ryan Weathers, a pitcher to the Padres. Jesus, I don't even know who the number 8 pick was. Carter Stewart to the Braves.
We haven't heard anything about him. No.
No. Sorry. This is the draft that the Oakland Athletics selected Kyler Murray with the number 9 pick.
Well, there was a reason why. They really wanted him to play baseball.
Yeah, and he said no. So they probably got Travis Swaggerty to the Pirates.
Yeah, he's a bust. I know
That's
that.
a bust. Grayson Rodriguez to the Orioles. He had maybe a couple stints with them in the majors, but I haven't heard anything.
We got to step in now. Junior Caminero deep to center field, and it's a 3-run shot off Ferguson. It's a brand new ball game, 6-4.
Wow. Well, looks like they may have life. Okay, let me keep going. Jordan Groshans, a shortstop to the Jays. I think he got traded somewhere.
Yes, he did.
You know what? Was he part of the package for Jose Barrios?
I believe he was. You got that correct.
So and then Connor Scott for the Marlins. I gotta be honest, John. The only and Jesus, how did he fall to number 14? The only real what do you call it? The only buyer remorse you can really have as a Tigers fan, I think, is the fact that the Mariners selected Logan Gilbert at number 14, but with that 13, I mean, including your guys, 13 teams passed on him. So can you really say it's buyer's remorse because 13 other teams said no?
No, I think you bring up a great point that should make me feel a little bit better. Like, they might not be superstars, but they are in the lineup every day and they're actually contributing. It's not day in, day off. They're depending on every day to do something.
I mean, that was the draft that the Royals selected Brayden Singer. Yeah, Singer took a little bit before he found his footing. So he wasn't a slam dunk either.
And now Brady, I think, is a member of the Reds, correct?
Yep. I mean, yeah, man, there really isn't any. In terms of the 2000 and the other one, I mean, maybe you could say Shane McClanahan and Chris Bubich, but I'll be the first one to tell you, John, Shane McClanahan is looking like he may never pitch again, and Chris Bubich is still dealing with the complications of Tommy John.
Oh, God.
Well, actually, no. It's not Tommy John, but his season got shut down due to a rotator cuff injury. So, yeah, the 2018 draft, they're really Alec Bohm is, I think you could say, no, Logan Gilbert and Alec Bohm are the two prospects that you can say have truly made it. Just, I can't include McClanahan and Bubich in there because of their injury concerns.
Christopher Morel, former Cub, pinched hit for Fiducia in the catcher spot. He strikes out, but the damage is done. Junior Caminero, 3-run tank, makes it 6-4 as the Mariners now will go to the bat rack.
So in terms of the Alex Avila draft classes, well, yes, the results haven't exactly been apropos. He didn't really miss on much else. He really didn't miss with the picks he had. He didn't make any crucial mistakes because all the guys that came after the guys he picked, they all had to prove themselves.
Yeah, no, you make a good point on the draft. Again, Ian and I are not talking about the trades and the values. That would be a completely different conversation that we would be on the same page. But Ian just brought up some great points with those draft classes between 18, 19, and 20. While they're not superstars for any stretch of the imagination of the Tigers, they've been everyday players that have been needed. And I think that's very well said. I will give them a couple more years to your point just to make sure, but I think you're already 99% on the right track of, yeah, it could have been so much worse.
It really could have been. I mean, look, let's okay, so maybe there was a little bit of buyer's remorse. Now, did Alex Avila get fired before the 2021 draft?
I believe he did because Torque was his last selection. You know, Al Avila, the dad. Alex Avila, his son, was a pretty good catcher, but Al Avila was the one that got canned, and he had to because he was the one responsible for getting no value for J.D. Martinez and David Price and all the other ones that we had that were pretty much like up for nothing.
Oh.
And he was also part of the Justin Verlander trade that got us Jake Rogers and 2 other players that never made Major League Baseball. So.
Yeah, I've heard about those. Yeah, I've heard about those trades. That's yeah, they were not exactly.
No. So while, and I think that's why I think you made a great point, Ian, because you could say he maybe almost hit on those 3 between Mize, Torkelson, and Green. You're absolutely right. Like, you didn't make a mistake there, but that doesn't absolve you. And I know you're not saying this, but it doesn't absolve him from when you trade Justin Verlander and J.D. Martinez, who took Chris Sale into the bushes deep in his return from Comerica Park when I was still working at the Oakland Press, and some of the other stuff there. I mean, those are treasured memories, superstar memories. I mean, what didn't JD then go to the Red Sox and win a World Series after? I mean, he still had a lot of tread on the tires. David Price, I know he got all that money from the Dodgers after, but we had back-to-back-to-back Cy Young Award winners. Couldn't win the series against the Orioles. And then he was also part of the decision making that brought Brad Ausmus here as the head coach instead of Ron Gardenhire, which I didn't like because Ron Gardenhire, I know they didn't want Jim Leland again, but you need someone with more tenure and respect. And when I see Brad Ausmus, let me make this quick story. When I see him as the bench coach for who's out, Aaron Boone in the New York Yankees in the All-Star game, and I watched the Tigers go 0 for 7 with 4 strikeouts and Scoop give up tanks in the All-Star game, I just blame Brad.
Yeah, I mean, and there was, oh man, the way you feel about Brad Ausmus, John.
Brad Ausmus and let me say this really quickly. Brad Ausmus and Ken Allen are the same person to me.
Yeah, but there was also. But if we're just talking, if we want to talk about our manager horror stories, okay. For a while, it looked like it was just going to be another name in the long list. And then the Royals won the World Series, and now Ned Yost is forever is forever loved here. How do you go from Ned Yost to Mike?
That was bad.
Okay. I'll admit, I didn't know who he was, so I did my research. John, if you know anyone who's a Mets fan, they will tell you the absolute horror stories about Terry Collins and his bullpen management. Mike Matheny was so much worse. He was so much worse than Terry Collins could ever be. I mean, this guy, he was. So the way the Royals would usually win games early on in the season was they would get a marginal lead, kind of like how they do now.
Right.
But instead of the starter going 6 or 7, the max they would go was 5. And then it would be the bullpen job to get the final 12 outs.
That seems awfully taxing every night to do that.
Yeah. And it was even worse because, and this more so speaks to the fact that Dayton Moore in his final years did not know how to execute trades. You had either that or you just got incredibly unlucky in this one. Wow, J.P. Crawford he's putting up a fight.
J.P. Crawford right now, I'm going to interject just for a moment. This is a 15-pitch battle to start the 6th inning against former Tiger Mason Engler. This is incredible.
This is what baseball is all about, people.
Pitch number 16's fouled down the third base line. We do it again. Keep it going, JP.
Okay, so in the COVID-shortened season, the Royals picked up closer Trevor Rosenthal. I think that name should sound a little bit familiar.
This one falls in the glove of Ha-Seong Kim, a 17-pitch battle caught at shortstop from Ha-Seong, but boy, oh boy, that was an at-bat for sure.
Yeah. So we picked up Trevor Rosenthal, a guy who had an injury history up to that point, but was a stalwart.
Yes.
For the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yes.
He comes back and is delivering 100-mile-an-hour heaters into the strike zone. They trade him away for a guy named Edward Olivares, whose only aspect was his offense, right? His defense was crap. And Dylan Coleman, who didn't work out. That's fine, right? But so with a core consisting of, at the time, it was okay. It wasn't the best, but it was okay. You had Whit Merrifield. Jorge Soler, Salvador Perez, and just a few pieces here or there. But your first job as a manager is a 60-game season, and you can't do enough to win enough games to get into the playoffs in 60 games.
Yeah, you can't do that with the bullpen management that you talked about with me. I mean, you compare the two managers with Collins and then Matheny with KC, you can put Stevie Wonder in there and you do the same job.
Yeah. And hang on while you continue to cover the game. I am going to look this up so that people just understand.
They're going to look, as Ian's checking that out, they're going to look on Mason Englert. And the reason why they're doing that is because it was a 16-pitch battle where J.P. Crawford was a pop-out to Ha-Seong Kim. And now Cole Young has just walked forward the third time today, and they're checking in on the hands. Just going to probably form some type of blister, checking out his hands after throwing that many pitches. And now they're making sure toward the right thumb and on the arms that he's feeling good. Because he's already had to throw a ton of pitches. It's only one out in the bottom of the sixth. So as they check on Mason, let me just go ahead and give you some scoring updates. We've gone to extras now between the Red Sox and the Padres. Red Sox are at the bat rack with a ghost runner on second, 2 outs. Dodgers are trying to get the final out against the Blue Jays. They got a runner at first. And then everything else besides our game here between the Rays and Mariners is final.
So this was Mike Matheny and Kansas City. In his 60-game season, 26-34, good for fourth in the AL Central. 74-88 the next year, fourth in the AL Central. 65-97 for fifth. That was his tenure with the Royals.
That's shockingly bad.
Yeah.
Rosarena gets the friendly call there as Mason Englert didn't get it all the way in the zone. Apparently, make it 1-1 toward the right side black on an inside fastball. He's had a lot of pitches to throw here, courtesy of J.P. Crawford. Grand cut for Rosarena to one knee. Try to go for the downs. He has been remarkably hot since July all the way through. Again, before you even get into July, Randy Rosarena only had 8 tanks, and he's already got 23. And from July and beyond, this one is off the plate. Here's a fly towards center field. Gray tries to dive at it. He can't get it. This is going to bring in some runs, I would believe. First to third. Didn't get a good read on it, so Cole Young's going to stay at third. If he would have got a good read on it, he would have scored. So he had to wait for it to fall. So this is a fortunate break, even though it was missed. It was a good attempt for Gray in the center field. But if Young was able to read that initially, he would have scored a run. But as it is, it's still 6-4 with runners on first and third. Rosarena at first, Young at third. He's at third partially because of the 3 walks today. Cal Raleigh's already got a tank today, and he's always in line to do it again, especially because Mason Englert's got to be a little bit gassed. And we'll see now. They got some pitch comm issues. And I wonder, honestly, for Mason, if this isn't just little chess to give himself a breath, .248 average, 44 bombs, 96 RBI here for Cal. He's already headed 43 to 44 now. And if he gets another one here, it'll be 99 RBI as he's waiting on the 0-0. Again, Rosarena at first and Young at third. Dead center cut for Cal. Way fouled on the right field line. Would have been gone, but we'll do it again. I mean, that hit me written all over it. And Cal was just a little bit early to put that down the right field line. Ever Stoic is the big dumper. Coming off of winning the home run derby and probably an MVP. If I have anything to say about it is make it 1-1 on a curveball that missed outside. Again, thank you to Ian for listening in all the way through and having the conversation and saving the pipes for me. Wherever Cooper Hopkins is, I hope he's listening in at some point and having a good time watching his team win some ball games. Spiked in the dirt, gets away. Here comes Young, he scores on the wild pitch. Make it to 7-4. It moves to Rosarena up to second.
Okay, so when kill me off if you need to, but I found an article from May of 2017. It's not much, but it pretty much tells you all you need to know about Mike Matheny's bullpen management. When it comes to St. Louis Cardinals manager Mike Matheny, the bullpen has always been his weakness. If he isn't overcooking Trevor Rosenthal's arm, he's forgotten about Tyler Lyons in the other corner. And then, if you look at the Reddit question, what was wrong with Mike Matheny? Someone said 3 names to show his incompetence. Kevin Zegras, Kevin Zegras, Seth Manis, and Matt Bowman. Ever heard of those 3? I haven't. Why? Because Mike Matheny destroyed their careers by destroying their arms.
Oh my goodness, that's about as bad as it gets. Little
and
checks.
They were worried that Jordan Hicks was going to be number 4.
Yeah, Jordan Hicks probably happy to be anywhere. I think he's with the Giants now. Happy to be the heck out of there because you're right. You take those guys, as you mentioned, Ian, when we brought up Matheny, and for the former Royal and the St. Louis Cardinal manager, when you take your bullpen guys and you want them to go from 5th to 9th in a 162-game season, and you're already taxing on, yeah, you are going to mess up their career completely.
Oh, and if you want to talk, and someone said, you want to talk about a quintessential Mike Matheny moment? How about this? You are in a clash in 2014 NLCS against the San Francisco Giants. You are down 3-1, and you are playing in the Giants stadium, and it's Game 5, which means if you win this game, you're going back home for the final 2 games. What do you do? Mike Matheny. I am going to choose Mike Walker, who hasn't thrown a pitch in 3 weeks and has only ever been in his career been a starter, and I'm going to throw him in a high leverage moment as a bullpen arm. Michael Walker then gives up 2 walks, and then Travis Ichikawa hits 1 into right. The Giants go to the World Series. Big Bay Boom, we know the rest.
Yeah.
That is Mike Matheny.
You know what that reminds me of? And I'm not saying Aaron Boone encompasses all of that, but we saw that last year in the World Series when Alec and I called that in the mix of Nestor Cortez. Let's bring in Nestor Cortez. He hasn't pitched in months. He's coming off ACL. He won't give up anything. Oh boy, he gave up technically lost.
Yeah, or the other one I think about, Bud Showalter, my old veterans suck. Extra innings of the AL wildcard game are upon us. You have a choice in front of you, sir. Do you choose the Whitehawk closer, who is a Cy Young candidate that will all but lock down this half inning, Zach Britton. Or you go for the mystery box and choose an Ubaldo Jimenez, who hasn't been good in almost 5 years. Choose wisely that you picked Jimenez. Edwin Encarnacion, 3-run walk-off bomb.
Yep.
The Blue Jays go to the ALDS.
That's what I'll never understand. I'm not saying I could be a baseball manager or a GM or anything else, but sometimes when you have the elite arms in the bullpen that a lot of these guys do, especially when you're in the postseason, it's not that effing complicated. You go with your best guy and you live with the results.
Yeah, and of course, it's just any other pitcher than Zach Britton in that situation would have been questionable. But Ubaldo Jimenez, really?
Ha-Seong Kim is going to start things off in the seventh spot. Josh Naylor gave it a look. In toward the bench for the Mariners, he will make the catch just shy of that Phil fence. It'll be 1 up, 1 down. Top 7 is Red T-Mobile Park. I'm joined here by Ian Genge. Thankfully, courtesy of that saves my voice. I'm going to get a baseball call in this week on Ichiro's retirement celebration, as he's got his number all set up. The plaque will be up there next year, and then the Mariners will get set to do this again next year with the big unit, Randy Johnson. Again, both of those boys share number 51, and they'll both be forever enshrined in Seattle. So that's pretty cool. Tristan Peters will now get to do battle against Bizzardo. Again, last time he was out there, he was giving up some tanks. So this is not out of the realm of possibility yet for the Rays. They're only down 7-4. But that is a courtesy call on the inside black. We'll make it 0-1. 0-2. 0-2 for Peters and 0-2 in the count. Again, Peters going to get the start in center field because it's usually Jake Mangum and left. Here for Chandler, Simpson is playing left today, so Mangum is going to get the day off. But the Rays, they're going to have to do whatever they can to avoid the sweep tomorrow, if they can. That's a yacker of a knuckle curve, but right to the goal, right to the glove of Cole Young. Goes in and makes the catch. And 2 up, 2 down.
It's funny. I see people do baseball Sporkle quizzes all the time, and up until recently, it was always easy. Who was in center field for the Rays? I'm sure even you. I'm sure you can tell.
I could tell you that for the Devil Rays and Carl Crawford, you could circle him in every year. I loved watching him.
Well, Carl Crawford, but you know the next guy because he was there for well over a decade.
Oh yeah, in the mix of Kevin Kiermaier.
Yep, it went from Carl Crawford to Kevin Kiermaier. Now it's basically, well, who are we gonna stick there now?
Right.
It seems like it's been a different guy every year.
Yeah, that's a good point by you because Tampa has had some cornerstones in the outfield. Again, when Carl Crawford was there, I don't know how good of a major league career, but it was the current manager of the Minnesota Twins. It was Carl Crawford and Rocco Baldelli in center field and right field, and that definitely takes you back, but definitely some names.
Yeah, and let me see. Oh, here's a question for you, John.
Sure.
So, I'm asking you because the Tigers have had more postseason moments than the Royals have these past years.
It's not saying much. At least you won a World Series.
Okay, yes. I mean, when I say more postseason moments, I mean you got to see your team
had some
in
fun.
The postseason more.
I had some fun.
Yeah. In those moments, have you ever seen did you ever have your Ubaldo Jimenez or your Michael Wacha or your Nestor Cortez moment?
I got one. It's from that same series against the O's, and again, it's Brad Ausmus. But I told you about Verlander, Scherzer, Price. They didn't win. They got swept in the best of 5. I don't know how you get swept. Jabba Chamberlain, the former New York Yankees man, comes out of the bullpen and delivers the gas can, and you light it up all on fire. Anytime he's out there, game over for the other team.
Yeah. Or was it game over for the Tigers?
Yeah, game over for the Tigers. The other team's going to get walk-off celebration.
Yeah.
Anytime it's Jabba Chamberlain, anytime the Tigers had to go up against Nelson Cruz when they played against Texas in the CS, and anytime we played against the Giants. I don't count the St. Louis Cardinals in 06 because it was rookie Verlander, rookie Curtis Granderson. Curtis Granderson's one of my favorite players of all time. I got his baseball sign and his jersey.
And because David Eckstein just decided to have the post.
That's fine. The card. I don't have any disrespect to the Cardinals, and you got prime Albert Pujols. Tigers were never going to compete with that. But with the Giants, when you got Victor Martinez, Miguel Cabrera, and I could blame Mike Ilitch for this because again I love Mike Ilitch, but it's Victor Martinez, Prince Fielder, and Miguel Cabrera. What does that say to you, Ian? That's 3 DHs. And you can't have Miguel Cabrera playing third base and exacerbating his injuries and getting hurt and losing part of his prime. As Josh Naylor is going to get another double, he'll be able to easily cruise into second base. He's been so good. But yeah, you had that. You had some roster construction that probably wasn't all that great, but you went for it. At least they went for it. At least like Seattle, they went for it. But I don't know, man. I hope in the next few years that some of these other prospects that Scott Harris likes now, yeah, he won a World Series with the Cubs. That means a lot. But you come over for the Tigers, and I don't want to be disrespectful of the Tigers because this is my own team. They won in 68. They won in 84, before I was alive. I was born in 87. But in between all of that, you talk about the Royals having a struggle. Tigers have been a laughing stock, really, through the most of their baseball careers as a franchise, just like the Lions. The Red Wings have their struggles now, but Tigers and Lions they could shake hands with each other.
Yeah.
Swing and bunt from Suarez will be out at first, and Naylor's got to state where he is as Ian Seymour now, the next bullpen arm for the Rays. They haven't had a fun series because they've had to use a lot, and Seymour able to plant in off the mound. And if you had to see that plant from we saw last week for Trent Thornton when he tore his ACL, it kind of had that same look on that leg, but nothing buckled. He was able to get it over to Diaz, who scooped it into the dirt. Step off and use a disengagement to look at Naylor, and that's probably something you got to do every time he's on the base paths at this point, as he's got 11 bags already since the acquisition about 2.5 weeks ago. Polanco's sitting on an over 3. This is a rocket foul on the second deck, and it'll be 0-1. Let's get in some baseball scores here for you if I can. I will refresh this. So the only active game is the one that we're calling right now. Everything else is been finished. Big cut for Polanco. He doesn't get a curveball, make it 0-2. Dodgers win 9-1, so the Blue Jays finally drop a game in the AL East, but so do the Red Sox, so they'll stay right where they are. Padres win 5-4 and 10. Diamondbacks hold off the Rockies, win 6-5. Phillies win again. As Ian mentioned this earlier, Rangers drop another game, 3-2. This will be a cue shot right at the mound again. Seymour's got to step off to the left. He'll take a toss over. Naylor's still tailored at second. Cubs win 9-1, a 13-hit attack, 2 errors for the Cardinals. It is, let me go up to this here. For game 1, it was the Braves winning 7-1 against the Fish, and then they won game 2, 8-2. So Marlins dropped both games. Brewers beat the Mets again, 7-4. I believe that's now 7 losses in a row for the Mets. Royals, as Ian mentioned, they won 2-0 against the Twinkies. You got to beat them now because they've traded off everybody. Tigers can't. Guardians win 3-1 against the White Sox, who are still in free fall mode after being swept by the M's. The A's pace the O's. They win 11-3. And this will be a lazy fly ball to center. And after the Naylor double, no more. We'll go stretch. It's 7-4.
Let's see what else. Brewers beat the Mets. Mets. The Mets fans are preparing for another season of
Yeah, apparently, too, I got to mention this as far as the highlights today. If you want to watch something on MLB Quick Pitch, Jurickson Profar with an absolute robbery for the Braves in the first game. He was able to catch toward the left field fence.
I saw that.
A's beat the Tigers 7-4. Joe Adell continues to stay hot as he would. James Wood helped win the Nationals, win 4-2 over the Giants. Again, we mentioned with the Yankees, 5-4 over the Astros. So that's going to help the M should they hold today. And those are all of your scores. As far as what we got tomorrow, see if I can pull this up off the day-to-day if they show starters. I guess we're not going to do that on the ESPN app, but I have to click on something else. But there should be some good games. The Cubs and Cardinals will be your Sunday night baseball game. And the weather is set for 91 degrees in St. Louis, so it's going to be hot out there.
Well, first game of the day is going to be Royals and Twins, the rubber match for the series. Hoping my guys can. It's Ryan Bergert versus. Good Lord.
Jose Arena still pitching?
Yeah.
Oh, that's got to be a slam dunk for you.
Hey, John, just go ahead and pencil it in as a loss because any pitcher that has an ERA over 5 turns into a Cy Young contender against him.
Oh, no. That's...
Dude, it's true. We made Cal Quantrill look like prime Justin Verlander.
That's always...
Quantrill had been terrible up to that point.
That's always the most infuriating thing for me, too, as a fan. When you see a guy that you should absolutely light up, but then he always has a career day. And I get tired of, well, you got to tip your cap to the pitcher. No, hit him.
No. And then, God, let me see if I can find another,
98 on the outside black for Bizzardo.
Except for Cal Quantrill, because he was the most recent one.
Well, that one, I see Ian is on Roku, so if they have access to that on a Fire Stick or anything else. So
Yeah.
That'll be there, and everything else will be as scheduled. And then again, we talked about the late night game. So there should be some good ones. And then we'll be getting closer to the NFL, college football, all that stuff's going to be around the corner very soon.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm excited for this year I'm really excited for this year as a Chiefs fan because look, they were going for a 3-peat, but it's something to be said with how badly the Chiefs just got mollywopped. They're looking to come out with a fire. They're looking to come out firing again.
I would say, because I'm not going to disagree with you at all, but I would say the Chiefs offense, I know pieces move in and out, and you got to pay people, and you get to that point when you've won, and you don't get high draft picks because you've won, and that's the cost. But the Chiefs offense didn't look as good to me as it usually does.
When last year?
Yeah.
Oh, no question. But granted, you lose Rashee Rice week number 3.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Travis Kelce is just not the guy he once was. Although, my God, he dropped like 25 pounds or something in this offseason. He is skinny. Like, he is skinny strong right now. But you also got your first round pick, Xavier Worthy, had to be thrust into action because Hollywood was out for most of the year.
Right.
Rashee Rice was gone. So it left Xavier Worthy to try and help pick up the pieces. And it was just, and not to mention your primary running back, Isaiah Pacheco, was out for the entire year.
Right.
So you had to take, so you call up a Kareem Hunt that was sitting on his couch.
Yes.
And he had to get into game shape while the season was active. So, by all accounts, so this will be the first real game where everybody is hopefully healthy by the time the season starts.
That was an absolute robbery for Josh Naylor at first, as he gets a diving catch on Brandon Lowe down the first base line after overextending the arm from the bat swing a couple days ago, missing some. He makes an unbelievable play to get Lowe at first. You're absolutely right, though, Ian. I agree with all those points. And you're essentially telling me that you got a healthier Chiefs team coming into this season who's hungry after losing in the Super Bowl, which, quite frankly, from all we told, might not have even made it. Probably shouldn't have made it with all the other stuff they got. Now they could probably come back and win it again.
Well, there's also, the other big thing, they never had an established left tackle.
Right.
The second round rookie they had it proved to be too much for him. The guy they had replacing him had a knee injury, so he was out. So by the end of this, they tried the flyer option with Jordan Humphreys, but he was MIA. So at the end of in the Super Bowl, you had a guard in Joe Tooney converted to a left tackle with an undersized guard next to him. And by undersized, I mean this guard against the Buffalo Bills literally got picked up by Ed Oliver. Not driven back, picked up, quite literally lifted off his feet. So yeah, revamped offensive line. Receiving core is just more experienced now. Running back should be at full strength, and Patrick Mahomes. So offensively, I'm really hoping they get back to the light show.
So after Brandon Lowe grounds out after the robbery for Naylor, Josh Lowe with a flyout. Mariners got one more time to add some runs, and then we will go to the ninth.
So how are the lines looking? Or did you say you don't really?
I'm aware. I'm not like a passionate fan, but I'm aware. I follow it because we cover sports, so I'm aware. I follow it. I saw yesterday what happened during that preseason game, which was absolutely freaking terrible. So I didn't see the young man's name, the 25-year-old, but they did say that he was talking and was able to move his limbs. But
I think his last name is Norris.
Norris, you're correct. Thank you. That's who it was. And these guys, I believe, might make 65, 70K on the practice squad. That's definitely not enough money to make when you could possibly be paralyzed. I don't know. Hopefully, Dan Campbell is going to give us more of an update, or the Lions PR will do it. But it was awful. Essentially, yesterday, as I was flipping through it, I was getting everything ready for this game. I'm in between the Tigers and all that too, and then I see the Falcons, or who did they play yesterday? Did they play the Falcons?
Yeah, it was the Falcons.
It was the Falcons and the Lions past like the 40-yard line that were all in a circle, all in a prayer on the knee, and then I saw the ambulance and everything else go across. That was one of the scariest things I think you ever see, because then they went up and they communicated with the NFL, and Dan and Raheem Morris said, yeah, we're not playing this game.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's definitely the scariest thing since Damar Hamlin.
Right, yeah. I remember with Damar Hamlin, you're right. With the Bills. I don't know. I always say this. I know this will be a little bit of a diatribe, but I always say this for anyone that wants to get into sports. If you're passionate and you're a really good player and you want to get into football, do it. I mean, do it if it's what you love. But for all these professional players, collegiate, all that, you make your money. I would probably play for 4 or 5 years and get out. I don't want to have a long career if I'm in the NFL. If it's an NBA, if it's Major League Baseball, I know hockey's dangerous, but if it's any of that, I would do that. But NFL, absolutely not, Ian. I wouldn't want to have a long career.
I have to agree with you because, as in a game where they still allow fire, in a game where you're on skates, which
Yeah.
for some, I could be wrong, but it just seems like getting hit while you're ice skating is more. It just seems more dangerous than getting hit when you're on solid turf or on solid ground, or maybe because technically you're not on a flat surface, you're on a skate blade. It just seems like it's a little more dangerous. I don't know. I'm probably talking at the other side.
That was not a good call for the home plate umpire on Cole Young. Make it 2-2 on a low changeup outside. I get your point, though, Ian, because it would seem that way. But in football, it's whether the speed of the players and how big they are. You pretty much make contact, and it's legitimately like a car accident every play. It's no surprise that these guys get hurt at the rate that they do, and then you don't even have guaranteed contracts, which is kind of scary. I understand as owners you might not be able to do that because you can't hand out the money, but when you're playing football, I don't know how those guys do it. Here's a full count from Seymour to Young. 4 walks for Cole Young. That is one heck of a stat line, but that's what it is. This young man continues to impress. He takes first base again, his 4th free pass.
Wow, talk about elite. You want to talk about elite plate vision?
We've seen him go 470 last week, Ian, when Cooper was in here, and then 4 walks today, and he's got elite defense at second base. I think the M's might have somebody at second base in Cole Young that's pretty legit. I know it's his rookie season. You might figure him out later and this and that, but he looks to be quite a ball player.
Agreed.
So Randy Arozarena on the 1-1 off the changeup. Cole Young was able to get his first stolen bag yesterday. And the behest of Josh Naylor said, hey, man, if everyone else is going to do it, you got to do it too. So we'll see what he wants to do. This one way down in the dirt. And this is a good block to push it away. So Fiducia is no longer catching. I'm going to pull this back up in my notes and see what we got. So it'd be Nick Fortes, the former Fish. He will finish it out. Between Fiducia and Fortes, I don't know what they have left in the Rays as far as their prospects, but what they have right now, Ian, is a bunch of hot garbage in behind the plate as far as what they're going to bring in for averages and power. They just don't have the catching position right now.
And I gotta be real with you. The last good Rays catcher that I could think wasn't even one of the prospects. It was freaking Mike Zunino.
I was going to ask you that. Didn't they have Mike Zunino as well, like the Mariners did?
They did, and he's been their best catcher.
Yeah, I can't think for the grand. I'm glad you brought that up because, the grand scheme of things in my mind, and between the Rays or the Devil Rays before that, catcher's never really been a strength.
No, because I mean, you had, the one guy I can think of is just Mike Zunino because he was there. I think he was there for the World Series.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's kind of been a revolving door.
Randy Wade on the full count pitch. He's walked a couple times. Oh my goodness, what a terrible call on behind the plate. That was a few feet off on the bottom right. Arozarena, he's not going to say anything because it's a 3-run lead for the M's. He absolutely should have walked, but this is a friendly call for Seymour. Strike 3.
Yikes. Big yikes.
That is about as big of a yikes as it gets. Raleigh's 1 for 4 with a tank, and this is a courtesy take here for Cal on a high changeup toward the left. You think he gets that again, this would be out of the ballpark. Make it 0-1. Cole Young's got his 4 walks. He's still at first. M's trying to add any runs that they can. Still within the save distance, and this one in toward the hands of a fastball. Cal slashes it foul late. Make it 0-2. Julio Rodriguez with a couple of tanks today. The M's offense continues to hum. Evans was really good. You had a little bit of a situation for Ferguson with a 3-run tank against Junior Caminero, but that's really it. As this is a curveball spiked in the dirt. This will be saved by Fortes, so Young will stay where he is. So they've gone through Joe Boyle, who's thrown a ton of pitches, and now Seymour in the mix as well. The Rays bullpen has to be shot throughout this 2 of the 3-game series so far. Kyle Raleigh waiting on the 1-2, not even close. Make it 2-2. It'll be pitch number 30 for Seymour coming up. Yeah, you got Tristan Gray in the 9 spot for the Rays. It's hitting 077. Peters doesn't have a hit, and his 7 at-bats, whatever he has in total. And then you have the catchers that we talked about that don't have much of an average. Quite frankly, Ian, this is not a Rays lineup outside of Lowe and Caminero that really has any sort of danger in it.
Yeah,
7 runs on 7 hits for the M's, 4 runs on 4 hits for Tampa. And if they score 4 runs and don't win, it's probably not going to win the game regardless. 2-2 inside, and Cal, that was a ball. At least it was called correctly. And now we'll see if he'll get anything to hit here in a full count. So Young's going to be off with the pitch. Julio waiting on deck if he even gets a chance. This is sandblasted, fouled on the third base line. We'll do it again. Yeah, Mason Engler, the former Tiger, was the only other one with an inning pitched, 1 hit, 1 earned run. He had the 6 all occupied to Boyle when he gave up 3 tanks from 3 1/3. Now this is a walk. It could have been bases loaded with the M's for Julio. He's already got 2. He will get at least 1 more at bat. I don't want to call my shot like Babe Ruth, but when you get a 3 home run game, that's a special game. We've seen a handful of players get the 4. But I'd like to see Julio swing big. You're already up 3. Why not go for the downs again? If he gets a change-up or something that he likes, this time he takes a change-up at 90 that was in the honey hole. He does not swing. 2 bombs, 3 RBI. Getting 254 in the season, 23 tanks, 65 runs batted in. 2 for 4 today. He went way out of the zone there on a curveball. That was probably the most undisciplined swing of the game for him. Make it 0-2. Now, in this game, in comparison to last week when Cooper talked about it, Rodriguez had a tendency to go outside the zone, not be as locked in. He's been more locked in today. Tanks do help, but seen him have good bat-to-ball skills. This one he fights off a little high, still make it 0-2. Julio seems to be a lock to get 30 stolen bases. You'd have to step on the gas a little bit, but a 30-30 type of guy perennial for his career. 0-2. And this will be served to center field right to Gray. So the Mariners don't add any more runs, and Andres Munoz is going to come out and try to close this one.
Yeah.
As a mother of 5, I know that what I do matters. I know that my life, along with my 8,000 coworkers, is directly contributing to a more reliable energy future for our friends, family, and neighbors. Most importantly to me, we're placing more of our lives underground, protecting them from the elements, and ensuring that we can power the moments that matter most to you. Count on us to deliver energy so you can give it life.
Living with chronic migraine? 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more. Botox prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine.
It'll be Caminero, Simpson, and Fortes, 4-5-6 against Munoz.
Botox effects may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away.
So the YouTube question today I had said the Mariners have a shot of a 9-1 homestand since the trade deadline. Again, they got to win today and tomorrow. Are they legit now? Again, the 2 votes, both of you guys say yes. I happen to think that'd be the case too. Ian and I talked about it a little bit throughout this broadcast. It'd be a lot of fun to see Seattle make the postseason. I'd like to actually be able to call some of those games alongside Cooper Hopkins for the first time. That would be pretty fun to call some M's postseason baseball. I did reach out to him before in some of the years past, but he keeps the M's about as close to his heart as he can, probably more so even than the Flames. So he lives and dies by the M's. So it would be tough, but if I tell him that we'll try to fight through it and try to pick each other up, I think he might consider it. So hopefully that's the case.
Well, I mean, and John, if you needed someone to talk to, I'll gladly step in. We can have Cooper in here, and he can give reactions. I have a feeling you would just stay quiet, just out of sheer like panic or stress.
That's essentially, Ian, you nailed it. That's what Cooper has told me throughout his M's, because it's been a roller coaster. We've talked about some of that, but better than I could ever remember. Again, minus the team that won the 100-and-something games that got to the World Series and didn't get it done with Edgar Martinez and Ichiro and Griffin. This is probably the best team they've had since then, top to bottom. As Junior Caminero has the 3-run shot and then a single here to start it off against Munoz. So this is the most dangerous part of the order, and Junior Caminero leads it off with a single. Now, after this, in between Simpson, who's got a ton of speed, even if you get something tailor-made, it would still be difficult to turn a double play if you don't get that firm throw from J.P. Crawford or Young. So this is not a given. But after Simpson here, Munoz, as long as he throws strikes, should be able to settle in. As 98 on the fastball misses way down low. It took Cal Raleigh out of the crouch. So Simpson 289, 16 RBI again, no home runs. He's not really a candidate ever for that. Has 85 on a curveball, called strike, make it 1-1. That was right down the middle. So Munoz got to lock in a little bit here. Again, you can afford to plant one essentially without the power, but you're going to have to hit this one hard on the ground. 1-3 is Simpson on the day. This one breaks his bat in half, and he's going to go have to pick up another one. Either he lost it out of his hands or it got broken in half, but either way, I think part of it with the pine tar slipped out of his hands. I'll have to check to see if there's any cracks in it, but he definitely did lose it out of the hands. He goes back and retrieves it near the on-deck circle. That's where Fortes is going to be. They don't have any other catchers for Kevin Cash's squad, so I don't think you're pinch hitting at this point. Although Jake Mangum is an option. What a wild swing and a miss for Simpson, looking foolish on a knuckle curve. And it's one down here in the ninth. Not even close. He could have swung at that 4 times and never would have made contact. So Nick Fortes, again, you get the 4.56. It's kind of unfair because when you look at it for the M's, you got Naylor, Suarez, Polanco, and you got Simpson, Fiducia, and like Fortes or Kim. There's just it's apples and oranges at that point. 99 outside the zone, but gets the call against Fortes. Still, a crowd wants to get to their feet. Fortes, big swing and a miss. He was early on that knuckle curve. Munoz starting to find his spots. Hitting 222 on the season with 3 tanks is Nick. Trying to fight off against the 0-2. And Munoz gets the sign. It's Cal Raleigh. See if he goes with the heat. This time the knuckle curve down low and away. That one bounced off. Some dirt got in the eye of Cal Raleigh. And he's going to have to try to fight that off a little bit. He says he's good. He's just going to need a second. Trying to get back-to-back sweeps are the Seattle Mariners. Again, they would have to win tomorrow. But playing against the White Sox and the Rays, the teams that you should beat, and they're doing the job right now. Waiting on the 1 and 2 as they showed Polanco at the top step. This one undercut in on the hands. Here's a look for Rosarena. Gives the call off to Julio Rodriguez. And the Mariners 1 out away from winning this ball game. And 1 out away from taking the series at least. That would guarantee them an 8-2 10-game homestand. And now Ha-Seong Kim, the former Tampa Bay man, will be the last hope. Or I should say Padre, not Tampa. It is Tampa. 0-3, as this one is down, is Ha-Seong Kim, and it's 1-0. And about a 270 hitter when he's right. Really just coming back from injury. He hasn't really been able to really play baseball with the Rays all that much. This one in toward the hands gets the friendly calls. That strike zone starting to wide a little bit. That one a little bit close enough to where I can understand, make it 1-1. It was a knuckle curve in on the hands. Can't do anything with that if you're Ha-Seong. Sign up the 1-1 and 100 just misses the bottom portion of the plaque. That was one of Munoz's best fastballs of the night. Just an inch off the plate really there. That's a pretty good eye for Ha-Seong. On Ichiro's retirement night in 99 and back in the same spot, make it 3-1. You already have a runner at first in Caminero. You don't want to have anything silly happen here, so Munoz want to try to avoid the walk if he can on this 3-1. 98 gets the call, catches just enough of that seam of the baseball. Barely in the zone. A fingernail. 3-2 in the bottom black. If Ha-Seong Kim will get on, it'll be Tristan Peters, but again, he's only got 7 career at-bats if you count everything today. Full count pitch. Caminero is going to be off regardless. 99. And Ha-Seong will draw the walk. And we will stay alive here just for the moment for the Tampa Bay Rays as this presses on. Ha-Seong took 2 very borderline pitches that I don't think a lot of other players could take in that same situation. He did an excellent job to draw a walk. And if Tristan Peters hits a tank here, that would be one of the most unlikely scenarios out of a movie at this point, considering what we've seen for him through 7 at-bats. He's still waiting for his first major league hit in his 7th career at-bat. Knuckle curve. Yacker does get the call. That was outside about a couple inches, but make it 0-3. Just above the belt. as Munoz trying to straddle that line and get the second win of this series. That one was a little more friendly, 0-2, but Peters does not offer, and he's down to his final strike. Mariners trying to get at least 8 of 10 on this homestand. And we will give another breath here for Tristan Peters, who calls time just to dig back in. It's pretty much the knuckle curve or the fastball unless he gives him something else. Let's see what he wants to do. Cal Raleigh, sit up toward the left. Knuckle curve, swing and a miss! And the Mariners get the job done as Munoz gets the save. 7-run, 7-hit attack does the job. And now they're 1 win away from tomorrow, sweeping the Rays and going 9-1. That was a fun ball game, Ian. I appreciate you being with me all the way through and staying up late. You have a good one, my friend. We'll talk very soon.
Absolutely, sir. Have a good night.
Right as your final, the Mariners win 7-4. Pretty good ball game. Again, it's the way it's been. The machine keeps on rolling for Seattle. They look very, very good. This is a dangerous ball club. This is a team that I think can do some absolute damage in the postseason. And what I hope is that Cooper and I can call some playoff baseball for his M's. I know he's going to be a little bit hesitant at that time because he holds them near and dear to his heart. But Cooper, your team is rolling, having some fun. Seattle wins this one 7-4 against the Rays. They go for the series sweep tomorrow. I'll see you guys next week. Peace.